Chapter 599. The Bishop of Justice waved his hand, and a cabinet in the living room opened. With a flash of light, a soul orb fell into the Bishop of Justice's hand. His power of the will gushed out and rushed into the butler's mind. Wang Lan and the others stood there quietly as they watched. They couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. The King of Hell's plan was so deep that he could place a pawn in the Bishop of Justice's home. After a while, the Bishop of Justice let go of the butler's head. The butler's eyes turned white, and he fell to the ground in a daze. The Bishop of Justice held the soul orb and activated the memory inside. The image appeared in a dark basement. The butler was kneeling on the ground, waiting for someone's orders. That person was wearing silk pajamas and a golden mask. In the Holy Kingdom, only the Pope could wear a golden mask. The person in the image gave some orders to the butler, but no sound was transmitted. However, this image alone was enough to explain the problem. The butler then took out a USB. The owner of the golden mask opened the USB, and the image of the Bishop of Justice eating in his home was shown. It was a very warm image. The image quickly turned off, and everyone relaxed. Bishop of Justice, this video is enough to clear your name. My name isn't the most important thing right now. The most important thing is the person behind this. How dare he wear a golden mask that only the Pope can wear? Damn it. Bishop of Justice. Yulia hesitated for a moment, but she still said the truth. Wang Lan has already made a guess about the person behind this. He thinks that the person behind this should be someone high up in the Holy Church. High up? How high up? Very, very high up. Wang Lan continued. How so? Only someone who knows the Bishop of Light very well could set up this trap. Lily started this 3 years ago and controlled everyone in the Holy Church. It's impossible for someone who doesn't spend a lot of time with you to do this. And this time, your butler wasn't a spy for the King of Hell right from the start, right? Of course not. Solo has been with me for 50 years. He was my butler since I was 10 years old. As I grew up, he became my butler. He has always been loyal to me, but I didn't think that he would be tricked by the King of Hell and betray me. So, someone who can bewitch the butler must be able to come into contact with you often. In the video, he was wearing a golden mask that only the Pope could wear. Why? He wants to be the Pope? That's right, the mastermind behind this is still a possibility. At the very least, it's someone who's qualified to become the Pope. The righteous bishop's face turned gloomy once again. I understand now. He's at least a cardinal. Now that the circle has shrunk to this extent, the rest shouldn't be too difficult. I wonder if the Justice Bishop has noticed that the mastermind has a heart-shaped birthmark on his chest. I saw it. Thank you, General Wang Lan, for your help. You are indeed as wise as the rumors say. I'm very grateful that you were able to find the culprit and prove my innocence in such a short time. Please leave the rest to the Holy See. We can handle it. Then we'll take our leave. With the area delineated in such a small area, it was no longer difficult to find a mastermind behind the scenes. There were only 20 red-robed cardinals in the entire Holy See, and the one with a heart-shaped birthmark on his chest should be the only one. What Wang Lan was worried about the most was that none of the cardinals had a birthmark. There was a saying, you never know tomorrow or an accident will come first. But this time, nothing unexpected happened. The Pope urgently summoned all the red-robed cardinals to the Holy Palace for a meeting. Excluding the female cardinals, there were only 8 red-robed cardinals left. When the Pope ordered all the cardinals to take off their clothes, a cardinal with a birthmark on his chest appeared in front of everyone. The Pope immediately took the Bishop of Punishing Evil down. The Bishop of Punishing Evil didn't know what was going on. After the Justice Bishop brought out the evidence, he went even crazier. In the end, he was still sent to the Thorn prison. This was also something that Wang Lan specifically ordered. He didn't want to fall into the King of Hell's trap again, so he didn't want to be sentenced yet. Instead, he wanted to keep it a secret and not announce it to the public. After taking down the Bishop of Punishing Evil, the Justice Bishop immediately began to search his divine realm. When the Holy Knights rushed into the bishop's house, the bishop's wife was sitting on the edge of the bed wearing a black robe and thick makeup. In the nation of God, the relatives of the clergy were not allowed to wear black. In fact, no one in the nation of God had the option to wear black. Only depraved people who had given their hearts to the devil would wear black. When the bishop of punishing evil saw the holy knights rushing in, he revealed a vicious smile and ignited a flame to burn himself to death. At this point, there was no doubt about the truth anymore. Soon, the holy knights found the basement of the bishop of punishing evil's house. In the basement, they found an evil altar. There were a dozen boxes around the altar, and in each box was the body of a baby. After comparing the bodies, they were all babies that had been missing for a month. Most of them were stolen from the orphanage. Following this clue, the holy knight once again rushed forward. Only then did he realize that he had overlooked a clue before. Before these babies went missing, the bishop of punishing evil's wife went to the orphanage to comfort the children. As the wife of a bishop, her status was very high. In order to maintain her image in the hearts of the church, she would organize a group to comfort the children in the orphanage and do charity work. When all the evidence was placed in front of the Pope, it didn't matter if the bishop of punishing evil confessed or not. What was there to argue in the face of such irrefutable evidence? In the nation of God, there was no such thing as not being guilty as long as you didn't sign a confession. Even if you didn't confess, there was still the court to decide. Execute the bishop of punishing evil. This discussion has been going on for too long. It's time to let it go. Announce it to the public tomorrow. The next morning, the Holy See announced the truth to the public. The one who killed the babies and drank their blood was not the bishop of justice, but the bishop of punishing evil. The damage to the Holy See was the same. No matter if it was the bishop of punishing evil or the bishop of justice, they were both bishops of the Holy See. No matter who it was, the nation of God was the one being humiliated. Therefore, no one suspected that the Holy See was throwing out a scapegoat to protect the bishop of justice. Even if it was a scapegoat, why would they use a red-robed bishop as a scapegoat? Fortunately, the Holy See also announced that this was a conspiracy of the king of hell. The king of hell had bewitched the bishop of punishing evil's wife, and his wife had bewitched the bishop of punishing evil. Before this, the nation of God had sealed the news of the king of hell's return. 30 years ago, the king of hell brought disaster to the nation of God. Many people still remembered it. In order to prevent panic, the nation of God had been hiding the news of the king of hell's return. But now, it seemed that they could no longer hide it. Therefore, when the truth was announced, the nation of God was in an uproar. Afterward, the nation of God was declared to be in a state of emergency. The holy knights had fully taken over the security of the nation of God. The nation of God had entered a state of emergency. It was a national alert, not only for the people of the nation of God, but also for the special agents of the International Security Committee like Wang Lan. Wang Lan didn't understand. They were here to look for the king of hell. How could they restrict their movements? Then why were they still here? It was the nation of God that invited the International Security Committee, but now it seemed like they didn't need to. In response, Dyson patted Wang Lan's shoulder. The nation of God has its own complete system. It's just that our system relies on systems and knowledge to maintain contradictions. However, the nation of God relies on theology and divine power. After the national alert, the next step would be the holy light illumination. The holy light illumination is like using ultraviolet light to kill bacteria. They don't want us to mess with the holy light illumination plan. Of course, the nation of God also has their own plans. Do you really think they invited us here to help them deal with the king of hell? They invited us here to be spectators. On the second night, the nation of God was shrouded in holy light. The holy knights continued to attack, arresting groups after groups of people who were evil or had been bewitched. Just like that, Wang Lan and the others seemed to have nothing to do. Since they couldn't leave the hotel, the quintessence of the nation was being promoted here. Do Diju was the quintessence of the nation, and Mahjong was the quintessence of the nation. A group of blonde foreigners were shouting things like planes and rockets, or eating, touching, winning, etc. It was weird no matter how you looked at it. As the bridge between the International Security Committee and the nation of God, Yulia was also left in the hotel. It was dark day and night. Wang Lan and the others kept rubbing their tiles. Time was wasted just like that. Report, there's an old man outside. He says he's Miss Yulia's old friend and wants to see her. Old man? Who is it? Yulia, who was rubbing her tiles, put them down reluctantly. The charm of mahjong was irresistible. At first, Yulia didn't like it when CSCC dragged her to the table. But after understanding the rules and playing 2 rounds, Yulia seemed to have awakened a small universe and was full of fighting spirit. On the first night, she dragged CSCC, Jiang Xinyu, and Su Xiangwen to play until the latter half of the night. In the end, Su Xiangwen was so tired that he fell asleep on the table. The next morning, they were all full of fighting spirit. Yulia stood up and walked to the window. She could see the entrance of the hotel. Steward Brownie? Let him in. Soon, Steward Brownie was brought to the 6th floor and entered Yulia and the others' room. Steward Brownie was wearing a white robe. His silver hair was neatly combed. For some reason, when Wang Lan saw Brownie, she thought of the butler of the Bishop of Justice. Although they looked different, they had the same hairstyle, the same robe, and the same temperament. Perhaps the stewards of the noble families in the nation of God were like this. They were more gentlemanly and noble than their masters. Steward Brownie, why are you here? Miss Yulia, I beseech you to save Carrie. Carrie? What's wrong with him? Yulia was startled and asked nervously. Miss Carrie was cursed by the demon. Chapter 600. Carrie and Yulia were best friends. They had been good friends since elementary school. Yulia had been very busy ever since she came back from the exam. She hadn't seen Carrie for a while. What happened? Why didn't anyone tell me? Since last week, Miss has been muddle-headed. She's in a daze all day long, and sometimes she does weird things. The day before yesterday, she jumped from the 3rd floor and broke her leg. At first, Master and I suspected that Miss was cursed by the devil. Master asked the saintess to remove it, but the saintess said that Miss was normal. But how can Miss be normal? It's like she lost her soul. Where is Carrie now? She's in the Holy City Hospital. Let's go. Take me to see her, Yulia said quickly. She suddenly stopped and looked back at Wang Lan and the others. Do you want to go with me? Wang Lan and the others were bored out of their minds. When Yulia said that, the 4 of them immediately stood up and followed her. The old butler drove here, and Yulia and the others drove another car. After 10 minutes, they arrived at the Holy City Hospital. The Holy City Hospital was the top hospital in the nation of God. All the nurses there were nuns from the Holy Church, and half of them were Takashi Hoshi. Although Takashi Hoshi had no effect on normal people, there were many Takashi Hoshi variations that could be used for treatment. For example, light could be used to stop blood vessels from bleeding, and eye techniques like Takashi Hoshi could be used to see diseases and wounds that normal people couldn't see. Carrie's identity seemed to be special. Her ward was an independent mobile sanatorium, and there were holy knights guarding it. Yulia was only allowed to enter after she showed her identity as a saintess. Wang Lan and the others were then allowed to enter Carrie's ward. The ward was very big, and a girl with black hair was sitting on a snow-white bed. The girl looked out of the window in a daze. The scene was quiet and beautiful with a hint of sadness. There were 2 nannies standing next to the girl. The nanny's face was full of worry. Seeing Yulia open the door, a happy smile appeared on her face. Jelly, Yulia called out softly. But the girl on the sick bed turned a deaf ear, or perhaps she didn't hear him at all. She was already staring out the window in a daze. The 2 pigeons flapped their wings and landed on the window of the ward. They looked at the people in the ward curiously before flapping their wings and flying up into the sky and disappearing. Jelly, Yulia walked up to Carrie nervously. Only then did she notice that Carrie was not in a good state. She was staring blankly out of the window, as if she was a wooden sculpture. Butler Brownie, what happened to Carrie? I don't know either. I only know that last night, Jelly suddenly had a nightmare when she was sleeping. She screamed and woke up. After that, she became like this. Yulia raised her hand, and the light from her hand shone on Carrie. Carrie still didn't move, and even her eyes didn't change at all. There's no trace of a curse on his body. His soul isn't polluted either. It's still pure and flawless. Yulia said with a grave expression. The door of the ward suddenly opened, and a middle-aged man in a gray suit walked in. The moment the door opened, Carrie's body couldn't help but tremble. It was just that the trembling frequency was very low, and Wang Lan could only feel it. Yulia, you're here too? Hello, Uncle Mlack. Yulia bowed to the middle-aged man and said to Wang Lan, This is the son of the peerless knight, Mlack. He's also Carrie's father. He's an excellent entrepreneur in the nation of God. I've heard the big name of Mlack Industries, but I didn't expect Mlack's father to be the peerless knight. I've heard my father mention the name of the greedy wolf from the Jade State. My father also said that the next 20 years would be the era of the four prodigies, and the Jade State would have two of them. You're too kind, peerless knight. There are heroes everywhere, and there are as many prodigies as there are stars in the sky. I'm not even the best in the Jade State, let alone the whole world. You're so humble. Mlack smiled, and then looked to Yulia. Yulia, how's Carrie? It's strange. Carrie's soul is very pure, and there are no signs of being cursed. She looks like she's scared silly. Yulia could only describe it this way. Uncle, although Carrie is timid, she shouldn't be scared to this extent by a nightmare, right? Other than a nightmare, does she have any other special experiences? No. Carrie doesn't like to go out. When she's at home during the holidays, she would play the piano, draw, or practice dancing. The guards at my house are even tighter. All I know is that she was scared that night. Lastly, she fell down the stairs 2 days ago, but she didn't hurt her head. That's strange, Yulia said in surprise. I have a meeting soon. I heard that you were coming to see Carrie, so I rushed back. If there's anything wrong with Carrie, you must tell me immediately. I have a meeting to attend. Mike seemed to be really busy. He came in a hurry and left in a hurry. When he left, his gaze landed on Wang Lan, and he nodded in a friendly manner. Wang Lan's eyes flashed with thoughts. He came to Yulia's side and said softly, Let me try. Carrie didn't awaken the Takashi Hoshi talent. Your Takashi Hoshi healing technique shouldn't work on her, right? Wang Lan didn't say anything. He raised his hand, and a ball of holy flame appeared. With a boom, Carrie's body was set ablaze. Jolly let out a cry of surprise, but stopped in an instant. She looked at Wang Lan blankly, then turned her head to look outside the window. This scene shocked Yulia and the others. Yulia's astral power surged, and she almost went berserk. But soon, the holy flame on Carrie's body was extinguished. Carrie's body wasn't hurt at all. Wang Lan, what are you doing? Yulia roared angrily. This is holy flame. Don't you know? Wang Lan asked innocently. How could we know? This is the Takashi Hoshi technique of the East. Yulia roared. Okay, it's my fault for not explaining. Holy flame is a flame that can expel curses, viruses, and negative emotions. This kind of flame is not harmful to people. It will only burn negative things. But you should have told me in advance, right? Carrie had a reaction just now. Did it work? The effect only lasted for a moment. It doesn't seem to have any effect, Wang Lan said, and looked at the 3 people beside Carrie. Butler Brownie and the other 2 ladies, can you leave for a moment? I need to discuss the treatment with Miss Yulia. Well, Brownie hesitated. After seeing Yulia nod, he bowed like a gentleman. Then I'll leave it to you, sir. Then, he led the 2 maids out of the room and closed the door. Xiang Wen, go out and guard. Don't let anyone eavesdrop, Wang Lan suddenly said. Su Xiangwen looked at Wang Lan's serious expression and nodded. Soon, only Wang Lan and the 4 women were left in the room. Wang Lan came to Carrie's side and looked at her cheeks full of collagen curiously. Miss Carrie, there are no outsiders now. You don't have to pretend anymore, Wang Lan suddenly said. What? Yulia gave a start and looked at Carrie in astonishment. Carrie, are you okay? Are you pretending? When Murat came in just now, Miss Carrie's body trembled unconsciously. Although you controlled it very well, I still noticed it. This means that Miss Carrie is not as soulless as you appear to be. Your consciousness is still clear. Just now, when I burned you with holy flame, you were so scared that you screamed. But instantly, you found that the holy flame could not burn you. So, you pretended to be soulless again. Am I right? Carrie, you didn't lose your soul, right? Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. They are all my friends and can be trusted. Yulia. Carrie suddenly hugged Yulia and cried bitterly. This scene just happened to confirm Wang Lan's guess. Jilly, tell me what's going on. Yulia knew that Carrie would not pretend to be soulless for no reason. She must have a reason for doing so. My father is no longer my father. He is a demon. What? What did Uncle Murak do to you? Yulia's expression changed greatly. She immediately thought of something bad. No, it's me. I felt that my father's soul had been taken over by a demon. His soul is very scary. Ever since he came back last week, I felt that something was wrong with him. Then, after a few days, more and more people in the family were taken over by demons. I know, if I don't take action, I will be taken over by demons soon. Also, everyone around me except for the housekeeper is a demon. My father also forbade me from going out because the outside world is so chaotic and dangerous. I have no way to contact Grandpa, so I could only pretend to be cursed and fall down from upstairs. Then I hurt my brain. Hearing Carrie's explanation, Yulia's expression became incomparably ugly. Wang Lan looked at Carrie curiously. You can see a person's soul? You are also a Takashi Hoshi? No, Carrie is not a Takashi Hoshi. However, she does have an extraordinary ability. A few years ago, she had the ability to sense souls. However, she did not tell anyone about this ability. Other than me, no one knows about it. So, Murak has really been taken over by a demon's soul? Wang Lan felt that it was somewhat inconceivable. Mr. Murak is the son of the peerless knight. Su Xiangwen said with a face full of shock. Even the son of the peerless knight has been taken over by the sovereign of hell. Who else can the sovereign of hell not handle? The Vatican's defense system has already become the sovereign of hell's backyard. Yulia's face was filled with anger and shame. She took a deep breath and said, I have to report this to the Pope immediately. This matter is too big. Can the Pope be trusted now? Su Xiangwen asked blankly. I feel that anyone can be one of the sovereign of hell's men. Xiangwen, don't speak nonsense. Wang Lan shouted. Yulia, you cannot tell the Pope about this. What? Chapter 601. After the bishop was sentenced to death, Wang Lan received some experience and skill points from the system. However, they were very little and didn't match the bishop's level. Therefore, Wang Lan speculated that the bishop of punishing evil might not be the mastermind, or he might not be the only mastermind. Now, there was Murak, and he was the son of the peerless knight. Although he was just an ordinary person, he had a high status. Without solid evidence, he couldn't be arrested. Although I said that the mastermind might be in the upper echelons of the Holy See, I never said that there was only one. Then what do we do next? It's best not to tell the Pope. Let's investigate in secret. The Holy See is no longer trustworthy. To be honest, the Holy See's defense system is like a sieve. There are holes everywhere. The King of Hell has been planning this for a long time. Yulia hesitated for a long time and finally nodded. Then, she told Carrie to maintain the status quo and not do anything rash. She would send someone to protect her in secret. Carrie's acting was indeed superb. After she agreed, she went into a daze and stared blankly outside the window with no expression on her face. After returning to the hotel from the hospital, Wang Lan immediately called Dyson to discuss this matter. After knowing that Murak had been controlled by the King of Hell, Dyson was also shocked. He sighed that the Holy Kingdom had fallen. Even the son of the peerless knight had been taken. The task of monitoring Murak was, of course, given to Su Xiangwen and another powerful and talented titled warrior, R.A. The two of them were responsible for monitoring Murak's every move. There were only 7 days left until Christmas Day in the Holy Kingdom. On that day, the Pope's authority would be handed over. Wang Lan had a feeling that the King of Hell would do something on that day. Time passed quietly. While Su Xiangwen was monitoring Murak, he also sent back many pictures of Murak's movements. Unknowingly, 3 days had passed. In the eyes of the Holy Kingdom, the International Security Committee was being treated in the hotel, playing cards and darts all day. However, The upper echelons of the International Security Committee were busy exchanging information. In a small meeting room, Wang Lan and the 6 titled warriors were gathered together. Now we can confirm that there is something wrong with Mrak. This is his whereabouts for the past few days. Then he pointed at the few people in the photo. These 3 are Murak's bodyguards. Before this, they weren't Murak's bodyguards. In the past half a month, Murak had been purging the people around him. However, he didn't do much. He only purged his bodyguards, servants, company secretaries, and so on. I've already checked the faces of these 3 bodyguards. They're all missing people from Saint Dajou since they were young. Therefore, I'm sure that these 3 bodyguards were sent by the King of Hell to Mlak's side to monitor him. A titled battle pet warrior raised his hand and asked, "Then we can take action now. Take down Murak and go to the next level." It's not appropriate for us to make a move. Mlak is the son of the Peerless Knight. With the Peerless Knight's status and reputation in the nation of God, the entire nation of God will retaliate if we make a move. Throw out the evidence in your hands? It's useless to throw it out. Wang Lan shook his head and said, "The nation of God will not accept our evidence unless the Pope investigates it himself. Plus, we have to risk offending the Peerless Knight. This is a critical moment for the nation of God. They don't want to cause any trouble, so they will drag it out until Christmas. At the same time, the nation of God is very wary of us. Everyone can feel it. Then why are we helping them? Let's just go back and let the nation of God fend for themselves. Rain, we're not just here to help the nation of God. We're here to save the entire world. Whether the nation of God is willing to cooperate or not, we have to fight until the end." Timura is right. Even if we have to fight alone, we will not hesitate. We are fighting for human civilization. Comrades, we don't have much time left, Wang Lan said faintly as she supported herself on the table. What do you mean? It will be Christmas in 2 days. This is the most important festival in the nation of God. This year, Christmas is the day when the Pope will be handed over. The King of Hell will definitely do something. If we arrest Murak now, it will only cause the King of Hell to do something earlier. However, we still don't know where the King of Hell's power lies. If we act earlier, we'll be caught off guard. What we need to do is to figure out the King of Hell's plan and prepare accordingly. Before the plan begins, the King of Hell's forces will be in constant contact to make sure their plan goes smoothly. That's why I asked Su Xiangwen to keep an eye on Murak and follow the King of Hell's network. Did you find anything? I found some, Wang Lan said as he switched the slides. There were a lot of pictures on the slides. There were only 20 to 30 of them so far. These are the people who have been in contact with Murak's bodyguards in the past 3 days. Their information has nothing to do with Murak's bodyguards, so I can confirm that they are the King of Hell's forces. While Wang Lan was having a meeting, the door to the conference room was suddenly pushed open. Yulia hurriedly appeared in the conference room. What happened? What happened? Wang Lan's heart skipped a beat. Something happened. I don't know if it's good or bad. I just got the news that the Holy Knights went all out to Siberia last night. Wang Lan quickly looked at the map. Siberia was located in the northwest of the Holy Kingdom. Why did the Holy Knights go to Siberia? Did they find the King of Hell in Siberia? That's right. Under the Holy Light, they finally found the demonized area yesterday afternoon. After knowing that they were exposed, the King of Hell immediately activated the demon realm. The Holy Knights followed the orders of the Bishop of Justice to eliminate them. Why didn't the Holy Kingdom inform us? Can the Holy Knights alone defeat the King of Hell? Wang Lan asked. The Peerless Knight and the Saintess are leading the team. They should be able to put up a fight. The Saintess has the Holy Grail, and the Peerless Knight is the King of Hell's nemesis. Wang Lan frowned. After thinking for a long time, she finally shook her head. No, this is very likely to be a diversion. If I were the King of Hell, my target would definitely be Christmas Day. What the hell is he doing in Siberia? Siberia has a cold climate all year round, so there are very few people there. The King of Hell's demon castle is located in this place. And this time, the demon castle is very well hidden. If it wasn't for the holy light being activated all over the country, we wouldn't be able to detect it. So you're saying that the King of Hell's forces this time is real? Judging from what the Pope said, it should be real. The reason why he didn't inform the International Security Committee was to stabilize the demon castle's strength first. After the Pope's inauguration ceremony, the entire country will be mobilized. Wang Lan frowned. He felt that the Holy Kingdom might have fallen into a trap. However, this was the Holy Kingdom's business. Even the International Security Committee couldn't interfere with the Holy Kingdom's decision. If they wanted to send the Holy Knights to attack the Demon Castle, and Wang Lan said no, would the Holy Kingdom listen? Absolutely not. Immediately, Dyson and Yulia went to the Holy See to negotiate with the Pope. On the surface, the leader of the International Security Committee was a level 7 agent, Dyson. He was responsible for communicating with the Holy Kingdom. Night slowly fell, and Dyson and Yulia explained the pros and cons to the Pope. Perhaps the Holy Kingdom was used to being confident, and they trusted their own judgment more. So no matter what Dyson said, the Holy Kingdom wasn't willing to change their plan. There was the first holy light circle in the City of Angels. It was impossible for the King of Hell to destroy it. Inside the circle, even the Pope could suppress the King of Hell alone. And since the King of Hell didn't have a physical body, he could only stay in the Demon Castle. No matter what, attacking the Demon Castle was the right strategy. As for the threat of the City of Angels, even if the King of Hell wanted to destroy Christmas, there was still the Holy Light Circle and the Pope. There were at least 5 red cloaks and a group of elites from the International Security Committee. No matter how you looked at it, it was enough. Dyson had no choice but to accept it. From the Pope's words, there was even a hint of anticipation. It seemed like the Pope couldn't wait for the King of Hell to come and cause trouble in the City of Angels. Unknowingly, another 4 days had passed. In these 4 days, the International Security Committee had gained a lot. More than 50 locations in the City of Angels had been ambushed, and the spy teams had been secretly discovered by the International Security Committee. Lan Zi. Suddenly, Su Xiangwen called. Murak left in disguise. Oh, where'd he go? Tonight was Christmas Eve. Wang Lan had already discussed the plan with Dyson. Originally, they were going to take action tonight to kill the threat in the cradle. As for the progress of the war in Siberia, Wang Lan couldn't care less. As long as there were changes, the Holy See would definitely ask for help. He used 7 layers of disguise. If it was someone else, he would have escaped. Unfortunately, in front of my eyes, everything he did was in vain. A pair of eyes? Don't you only have one eye? Hearing Su Xiangwen's Chinibu voice, Wang Lan couldn't help but expose him. Cough, cough, cough. Okay, he went to a church in the East District of the City of Angels. But in order not to alert him, we didn't follow up. But I'm sure he never came out after entering the church. Church. This place wasn't in our guard before. Wang Lan rubbed his chin and said calmly, General Dyson, I'll personally lead the team to this church. I'll leave the rest to you. Okay. It was late at night. After 3 o'clock in the morning, Wang Lan, Jiang Xinyu, CSCC, and Yulia flew across the night sky and came to a dense forest outside the church. Su Xiangwen and a titled expert appeared beside Wang Lan. What's the situation in the church? It's a special situation. Su Xiangwen's expression was not good. Since 10 o'clock at night, many people have come to the church. They all wore black cloaks and acted suspiciously. Both R.A. and I determined that this church should be an important stronghold of the Sovereign of Hell. But at around 2 o'clock, I turned around to take a piss. But when I looked at the church again, there was no one. Suddenly, Wang Lan looked at Su Xiangwen in surprise. It was such a good opportunity to catch all of them in one fell swoop. And you missed it with a piss? I didn't expect that either, but R.A. was sure that they hadn't left. R.A. had set up 12 detection enchantments around the church, so he was sure that the people in the church were still inside. Either they had blocked my detection, or they had used some kind of concealment array. Wang Lan thought about it and looked at the time. General Dyson's operation is about to start. Forget it. Let's go check it out whether they left or not. The 5 of them flashed and rushed into the church in the blink of an eye. Just as Su Xiangwen said, there was no one in the church. Other than their footsteps, there was no one. Chapter 602. The entire church was dead silent. Wang Lan and the others appeared silently like ghosts, startling a few birds that were resting at night. They flapped their wings and flew into the sky. Xiangwen, you still haven't found anything? Wang Lan asked Su Xiangwen, who was beside him and had his sky eye open. What the hell? Don't tell me they can teleport like Lanzi. Otherwise, there's no way to explain how they disappeared without a trace in an instant. Tan Lang, I can't sense it either. R.A., who was monitoring with Su Xiangwen, also said. Su Xiangwen was good at visual detection, and R.A. was good at sensory detection. Theoretically, the two of them should be invulnerable. The church was only so big, so it was not beyond their best perception range. However, Su Xiangwen's complaint suddenly made Wang Lan think of something. Xiangwen, what did you just say? There's no way to explain how they disappeared without a trace in an instant. No, the previous sentence. Could it be that they can all teleport like Lanzi? Teleport. That definitely can't teleport, but it shouldn't be a problem to open up an alternate space. Do you still remember the alternate space door fixed at the entrance of the cave? As Wang Lan spoke, the astral power around him instantly rippled. Then, he used the spatial type of astral power to cause the entire space to vibrate. This kind of spatial fluctuation could not be detected by people in space. Only those who had extremely long perception of the spatial power could sense it. Under the perception of spatial fluctuations, the whole world was rippling in a uniform space-time fluctuation. However, at a certain spot in the church, a ripple suddenly appeared. Found it, Wang Lan said, and his figure flashed to the Saint Lady Temple. The structure of each church was the same. In addition to worshiping the gods, there were also the Angel Temple, the Temple of all Gods, the Saint Lady Temple, the Temple of the Divine Child, and so on. The spatial ripple was in the center of the Saint Lady Temple. There's a hidden spatial door here, Wang Lan said, but this spatial door was somehow hidden. It could not be seen or touched, so naturally, there was no way to enter. Yulia stepped forward. Let me do it. Yulia slapped the ground with her palm, and holy light gushed out from her body. Within the holy light, a huge black array appeared with Yulia at the center. Seeing the array, Yulia's face lit up with joy. The milky white holy light around her surged once more and turned into golden holy light. Boom! The formation beneath her feet instantly shattered. Spatial ripples spread from the formation's location. Yulia's body swished and disappeared before everyone's eyes. Yulia, she fell down? Let's go down too. As soon as Wang Lan finished speaking, he jumped down from the array. The thick fog of the night shrouded the land, and the shadows of the trees rustled under the dim moonlight. A gust of wind blew past, and the moon was hidden behind a thin veil. The world suddenly became pitch black. In the wilderness of Angel City, a spatial ripple appeared in the sky. A woman in golden armor descended from the ripple. Why did you ask me to come here? After the woman landed, she asked with an unhappy expression, I want you to give me the Holy Grail. A voice sounded. Following the clear sound of footsteps, the white-clothed Justice Bishop appeared in the darkness, as if he was shrouded in moonlight. He gradually approached. You will become the new Pope tomorrow. When you become the Pope, the Holy Grail will naturally be given to you. Why do you want it now? Do you really think I don't know anything? The Pope has no intention of giving me the Holy Grail. The Pope has already told you that from this generation onwards, the Pope will be in charge of the Holy Grail and the Holy Grail. From now on, the Pope and the Holy Grail will be jointly in charge of the Holy See. The popes of the past were the only rulers of the Holy See. Why do I have to give half of the power to the Holy Grail? Most importantly, the Holy Knights listen to the Holy Grail holder. The Pope of the Holy See doesn't even have military power. Isn't I just a puppet? This is the Pope's decision. It's also for the future development of the Holy See. The Pope's power must be limited. The Holy Grail said coldly and turned to leave. The Pope has been in charge of the Holy See for 70 years. He has been a dictator for 70 years. Why should the military and politics be separated after he abdicates? The popes of the past have always held military power. Why am I an exception? There are so many countries in the world where the military and politics are separated, but the highest leader of the country still has the highest military power. Are you sure this is for the future development of the Holy See? The Bishop of Justice didn't show any obvious anger on his face. Instead, he sneered and questioned her. The Holy Grail's eyes moved slightly, but she didn't say anything. Can't you find a suitable explanation? Then I'll say it for you. Because I'm the Pope's temporary replacement. Why did the Pope send so much money to the Jade State all these years? It seems to be funding some kind of genetic medicine. The person in charge is Ms. Wang Qi, right? The Pope hopes that Ms. Wang Qi can perfect the longevity medicine. He's waiting for immortality, right? I'm just a puppet that he's supporting, right? Or is the Pope paving the way for that person? The Pope wants to turn the Holy See into his own Holy See, right? What do you mean by that person? I don't understand, but I can't agree to your request. The Holy Grail can only be given to the new Pope. If the Holy See doesn't give it to you, you can't take it, and I can't give it to you. That person, isn't she the daughter of you and the Pope? The Bishop of Justice smiled coldly. The Holy Grail's face was instantly filled with shock. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm a Holy Grail, The Holy See doesn't forbid marriage, but there are two exceptions. One is the Pope, and the other is the Holy Grail. The Pope is the representative of the heavenly God, and he must be impartial and cut off the fetters of the mortal world. The Holy Grail is the servant of the heavenly God, and she can only serve the heavenly God. She must always be a virgin. You not only tasted the forbidden fruit with the Pope, but you also gave birth to a child. This is blasphemy to the heavenly God. If the people of the Holy Kingdom find out, and if the believers of the world find out, I'd like to ask you, do you have the right to be the Holy Grail? When that time comes, even your daughter and the Pope will have to bear the most severe punishment, let alone you. Being burned to death by the holy fire is the most merciful punishment for you. Either you give me the Holy Grail now, or wait until I become the Pope and announce that you tasted the forbidden fruit and gave birth to a child. Furthermore, that man was the Pope who was almost 100 years old. When that time comes, the Holy Grail will still fall into my hands, and you and the Pope will be the first pair of disgrace to betray the Holy See in 10,000 years. Your names will be passed down in the Holy See forever. As the Bishop of Justice spoke, the Holy Grail's face became paler and more frightened. I need time to think. You don't have the right to think. The Bishop of Justice roared with a fierce look in his eyes. Because you are a sinner, you are a traitor. From the moment you betrayed the heavenly God, the Holy Grail no longer belongs to you. Think. What else can you think about? I will give you the Holy Grail, but only after you become the Pope. The Holy Grail shouted with a cold expression. After a long time, the Holy Grail's chest heaved up and down, and she slowly turned around. Also, was the Pope behind the Bishop of Light? The Bishop of Justice suddenly asked. Was it because Io discovered the secret between you and the Pope? No. The Holy Grail's face was cold as she looked at the Bishop of Justice. Don't try to pin everything on me. Wasn't Io's matter part of your plan? Did you think that only your Judgment Institute was investigating, and my Holy Grail's personal guards did not? You are the only one who knows Io like the back of your hand. Other than Io, you are also the one who has the deepest contact with Lily. Even the fall of the Bishop of Evil was related to you. Don't think that your methods are brilliant, and don't think that everyone is a fool. Look at your face now, it's really disgusting. You are the one who wanted me to be the Pope. Since I am the Pope, I cannot be a puppet Pope. I will only give you 2 days. Today, I will take over the Pope's divine staff, and tomorrow night, I will take over the Holy Grail. Otherwise, you know the consequences. As soon as he finished speaking, the sky distorted, and in the blink of an eye, the Bishop of Justice disappeared into the night. At the same time, Wang Lan and the others jumped into another dimension. As soon as they landed, they could feel the intense sounds of battle. After breaking the concealment array, Yulia directly fell into another dimension. Naturally, she fell into the encirclement of the Lord of Hell's forces. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, attacks came from all directions, and the strength of the dozen Takashi Hoshi surrounding Yulia was beyond imagination. They actually had the strength of a titled expert. Great Sun Sword Aura. The moment Wang Lan landed, the sword aura around him shot out like rain. The experts surrounding Yulia were suddenly attacked by the sword aura. One by one, they were hit by the sword aura and were all sent flying. Boom, boom, boom. The sword aura wreaked havoc, and the black-clothed people who were hit instantly exploded into countless smoke and dust. Wang Lan and the others came to Yulia's side to fight alongside her. But Yulia did not show the slightest bit of a relaxed expression. She was still solemnly vigilant of her surroundings. Wang Lan, be careful. These people don't seem to be able to die. Sure enough, as soon as Yulia's voice fell, the numerous black figures that had turned into smoke and dust reappeared. Seeing this scene, Wang Lan could not help but think of Qi Mei's subordinates, but it was obvious that they were different. Qi Mei's subordinates could change reality into an illusion, but these people in front of him seemed to have walked out of nothingness. There were a total of 12 mysterious black-cloaked experts in front of him, and each of them had a ring on their hand. Under the hood of the cloak, there was a deep nothingness. It was as if the inside of the cloak was empty. Sinew, you guys hold the array. Yulia, R.A., and I will test their strength. Wang Lan said as his figure flashed and instantly rushed towards the other party. He unsheathed his Zanpakuto and slashed down fiercely. The black-clothed people instantly greeted him, and a black longsword appeared in their hands. The four of them formed a small team and surrounded Wang Lan. Ding, ding, dang, dang. The sound of intense battle rang out, and the moment the battle started, Wang Lan had already grasped their combat strength. Their strength was already at the peak of the astral sea realm, and at least their close combat level had reached this level. In a one-on-one fight, Wang Lan could crush them. With the four of them working together, they could barely fight to a draw with Wang Lan. The four black figures were impeccable in terms of speed, agility, and cooperation. Even some veteran, pure Astral Sea Realm teams would definitely not be able to achieve the cooperation of these people. In the short tens of seconds of battle, Wang Lan's eyes lit up. He finally saw the traces of training in their combat skills. Chapter 603. The sound of weapons clashing in the fierce battle was like a machine gun firing nonstop. In the eyes of Jiang Xinyu and the others, there were dazzling phantoms in front of them. Both La and Yulia had chosen to use Takashi Hoshi in close combat. Wang Lan was the only one who chose to fight purely in close combat. As the battle progressed, the strength of close combat became more and more insignificant. It was like a titled expert and a peak star sea state expert. In terms of close combat, the two of them were on par with each other. Therefore, Jiang Xinyu didn't understand why Wang Lan chose to fight in such a short way. However, Wang Lan soon waved his saber and forced the four men in black to retreat. Suddenly, Wang Lan put his hands together, and a burst of astral power spurted out. Red Spider Lily, boom! After a violent tremor, countless red spider lilies bloomed within a range of 300 meters. The crystal flowers and leaves rose like icicles. In an instant, the battlefield where Wang Lan was turned into an ocean of red spider lilies. Bloom, Elysium Land. The red spider lilies bloomed one after another, and the crystal leaves exploded instantly. When the red spider lilies upgraded to the diamond level, they no longer relied on pollen to perform illusions. Or rather, they didn't have pollen at all. The moment the flowers bloomed, the 6 paths of reincarnation began. The 12 men in black who were enshrouded in the flowers came to a halt at the same time, as if they were statues. Then, they simply let the red spider lilies bind them. Seeing the sudden reversal, Yulia and La were both baffled. The weirdness of the 12 men was beyond their imagination. Every time he used a killing move on them, every time he destroyed their souls, they would quickly reappear in perfect condition. This made Yulia and the others think that the men she was fighting were just shadows. However, the damage that the shadows could inflict was real, which was hard for them to accept. Now, Wang Lan had frozen all the men in black with one move. Wasn't it too sudden? Wang Lan slowly walked in front of a black-clothed man. She gently pulled off the man's cloak, revealing a brown-haired man with a face full of vicissitudes. The man's face was covered with more than a dozen horizontal and vertical scars, but the color of his pupils was pale white. A blind man? Yulia asked in surprise. This is not a blind man. It's the color of his pupils after being hit by my red spider lilies. They are now immersed in Elysium land and can't extricate themselves. Illusion? R.A. looked at Wang Lan in surprise and exclaimed, "Why is there no record of you being proficient in illusions? Please don't dwell on these details." Wang Lan pulled open another cloak. This time it was a woman. However, there were also hideous scars on the woman's face. Fortunately, her facial features were not damaged, so other than the scars on her face, she was still quite pretty. They should be the core fighting force of the Sovereign of Hell, Wang Lan said calmly. To be able to use the Sovereign of Hell's personal space, they should be the Sovereign of Hell's most reliable force. What do you mean? Jiang Xinyu didn't understand. Do you know why they are unharmed? Every time you hit them? You already know? This ability is really a headache. I dare say that if I was alone, I might die here, Yulia said with a serious expression. She was a peak expert who surpassed the titled realm and had reached the half-astral soul stage. Under normal circumstances, even a dozen titled realm experts wouldn't be able to hurt her. Indeed, if I didn't know their abilities, let alone you, even I might be exhausted to death here. Fortunately, I saw through their abilities. Yulia, do you remember when I asked you about the Sovereign of Hell's ability? The Sovereign of Hell can refine a portable space? I remember. Is their ability related to that portable space? Yulia asked curiously. Their ability is the use of this portable space. I call this ability Divine Might. In fact, after I learned the Void Storage Star Martial skill, I also had the idea of God's Might. Unfortunately, my Void Storage Star Martial skill was unable to turn it into a different space that could accommodate living things. Therefore, even though I had the theory, I was unable to use it. During the battle, I slashed them 17 times, but every time, it was as if I was slashing a shadow. After many tests, I finally confirmed that they were using the divine might that I had researched all this time. Their bodies could freely travel through the dimensional space they could carry with them. Thus, every time they encountered a fatal attack, they would hide in the space. Since they aren't in the same space, our attacks are naturally ineffective. Previously, when you used the Takashi Hoshi to destroy them, it was just an optical illusion. In fact, they escaped into the portable space, and the Takashi Hoshi you used distorted the space's vision. After the attack, they jumped out of the space. Under Divine Might, they are immune to all attacks. After listening to Wang Lan's explanation, Yulia and Ra's faces were filled with horror. Takashi Hoshi could be immune to all attacks. How could there be such a heaven-defying thing in the world? This is the power of the space-time attribute. As long as you master the space-time attribute, even if it's just a star blazing Takashi Hoshi, you can jump to the top of the world. And this is only when they use Divine Might for defense. If they use Divine Might for attack. Wang Lan paused and shook his head faintly. This was Wang Lan's secret. Wang Lan himself had the space-time attribute and mastered the void storage. Now, the diamond-grade void storage could only expand the portable space by n times. However, Wang Lan believed that sooner or later, the portable space would become a divine might space. Yulia looked at the 12 men in black who were frozen, and the fear on her face quickly faded. No matter how powerful the Takashi Hoshi is, there will always be a flaw. Even if their divine might is invincible, didn't you still subdue them in one move? There is no perfect technique in the world. If they want to attack, they have to return to this space. I also use a little trick. They don't know that my Takashi Hoshi has a strong illusion ability. By the time they realize it, it's already too late. Then what about them? Look at their memories. Wang Lan and the others found an assassin at the same time. Their palms were placed on their heads, and their spiritual power boiled and instantly invaded their minds. After a long time, Wang Lan and the others released their hands. A few of them had been mentally engraved and turned into idiots, while the rest were still immersed in the illusion. Wang Lan raised his hand and cut down. This time, their heads were easily separated. There was no chance of survival. What terrible people! They have no thoughts of their own. They only fight and follow orders. It's hard to believe that they can survive such cruel training. But the death rate is also very scary. Close to 100,000 children, and in the end, less than 2,000 survived. And there are only 12 experts like them. After daybreak tomorrow, when the Vatican completes the transfer of the Pope, we will immediately launch the plan to destroy the City of Angels. But they will never have the chance to carry out their plan. These men in black were all tools. They were trained to be tools without thoughts since young. At the same time, they were also hotbeds. They were the hotbeds of the King of Hell's 12 apostles. The King of Hell originally wanted to train the 12 of them into the 12 apostles. But this time, Wang Lan's unexpected interference ruined the plan before it could even start. Other than the inhuman training, there was no other special memory that invaded their minds. For example, they didn't know who the spy hidden in the Vatican was. They also didn't know the real plan of the King of Hell. Suddenly, Yulia's expression changed drastically as she screamed. She let go of one of the men's heads. That man's head was already destroyed, and he became an idiot and fell to the ground. Yulia, what's wrong? The Bishop of Punishing Evil. The Bishop of Punishing Evil was framed. Yulia shook her head in pain and said, in her memory, I saw her using the Takashi Hoshi transformation skill to become the Bishop of Punishing Evil's wife. Then, she took the opportunity when the Bishop of Punishing Evil was out to set up the evil sacrificial ceremony in the basement. All the evidence that we found was set up by them. Where's the Bishop of Punishing Evil? Wang Lan quickly asked. Wasn't the Bishop of Punishing Evil locked up in the thorn cage? The Bishop of Punishing Evil has been secretly executed. When Yulia said this, her face showed that she was having difficulty breathing. Another bishop died in the scheme of the King of Hell. At first, I thought that the target was the Bishop of Justice. But now, it seemed that the King of Hell's target had always been the Bishop of Punishing Evil. Previously, the Bishop of Light died because of rumors. Now, the Bishop of Punishing Evil was framed. The Vatican was being played in the palm of the King of Hell. The most important thing now is to kill our way in and destroy this important base. The 6 of them once again rushed into the depths. After the 12 elites were killed, the King of Hell's hidden forces in this alternate dimension all made their move. They charged forward dauntlessly and engaged in a life-and-death battle with Wang Lan and the others. In the eyes of the outside world, they might be elites among elites, but compared to Wang Lan and the others, they were nothing more than a motley crew. Without any effort, Wang Lan killed his way into the core area of the alternate dimension. Murak and a man with a golden mask appeared in front of Wang Lan. With their backs against the spatial node, they showed their last bit of unyielding determination. Murak, as the son of the peerless knight, how could you betray the nation of God and work with the King of Hell? How could you face the peerless knight? Yulia, it seems like all of this is because of my miraculous daughter, Jelly. If I knew that she would ruin things, I would have let her die earlier. I was afraid that her death would alert the peerless knight. But in the end, the problem still lies with this damn girl. You're not Uncle Murak? Yulia suddenly said. Murak? Ha ha ha. He's been dead for many days. Of course, I'm not him. Then this guy with the golden mask should be the guy who pretended to be the Bishop of Punishing Evil, right? Wang Lan looked at the guy with the golden mask and understood everything. Trespassers die. The golden mask guy's figure flashed, and he charged towards Wang Lan and the others like a ghost. Even the guy who was impersonating Murak rushed over with surging star energy. So what if they knew that they couldn't win? The exit of the alternate dimension was right behind Wang Lan. They had nowhere to run. Behind them was the spatial node, and behind them was the death zone. In front of them was a powerful enemy. They could only fight with everything they had. Chapter 604. As expected, the two of them also had the power of Shen Wei. However, after learning the principles of Shen Wei from Wang Lan, everyone knew how to restrain Shen Wei. Illusions weren't the only way to deal with Shen Wei. When Shen Wei was attacked, one could hide in the space of Shen Wei. However, when attacking, one had to jump out of the space. For the battle-hardened Takashi Hoshi, there were plenty of ways to take advantage of this. Originally, the two remaining lackeys were weaker than them by a bit. However, with the advantage in numbers, it was easy to create an opportunity to kill them. Ra's sword easily sliced through the throat of the golden-masked Takashi Hoshi. However, the Takashi Hoshi in front of him was like an illusory shadow. His black longsword was already stabbing towards Ra's chest. Ra's sword swept past and left the opponent's body. The opponent's sword was less than 10 centimeters away from Ra's heart. At this distance, even a titled expert wouldn't be able to dodge in time. Once struck, death was certain. It's over. The golden-masked Takashi Hoshi revealed a smile. He knew that he was going to die today. However, as long as he could drag someone down with him, everything would be worth it. Suddenly, the golden-masked Takashi Hoshi's body trembled. An ice sword pierced through his throat, and a section of the golden mask slowly fell off his face. The face inside was exactly the same as that of the Bishop of Evil. A horrified expression was fixed on his face. He didn't understand when Jiang Xinyu suddenly appeared behind him. Jiang Xinyu was clearly in front of him. Bang! A cloud of smoke dispersed. The Jiang Xinyu in front of him instantly turned into water vapor and dissipated. At this moment, he finally understood what kind of plan he had fallen into. They had used his mentality of wanting to drag someone down with him. They had used this titled expert as bait to kill him in a single strike. Lifting his head to look at R.A., the golden-masked Takashi Hoshi revealed a smile of relief. Then, the moment the ice sword shattered, he fell backwards. At the same time, Wang Lan and Yulia had easily killed Murak. Murak didn't even have the chance to display his strength before he was killed by Wang Lan in a single move. Even if you had God's might, it would be useless. However, when you use the power of speed to kill, your speed would be so fast that even if you activated God's might, it would be too late. After dealing with the two of them, Wang Lan looked at the empty space and let out a long sigh of relief. There's a lot of power hidden in this hidden space. If they attack during the Christmas festival tomorrow, they could cause a lot of damage to the City of Angels in a short period of time. After breaking the space node, the group left the space node and returned to the hotel. The group of people led by Dyson had also successfully returned. Their operation was also very successful. They killed a total of 130 spies arranged by the Sovereign of Hell. Moreover, they also encountered an expert who could use divine might. In the beginning, they suffered quite a bit. Fortunately, the people they sent this time were all very experienced. Even though they didn't understand the characteristics of divine might, they still managed to design and defeat their opponents. The operation was naturally a great success. After the operation was over, Dyson also informed the Pope of the ins and outs of tonight's operation. When the Pope knew that the son of the peerless knight, Murak, had been killed by the Sovereign of Hell and was replaced by the Sovereign of Hell's people, he was so shocked that he broke out in cold sweat. That was because Murak would be beside the Pope tomorrow to observe the ceremony in place of the peerless knight. The peerless knight and the saintess were currently facing off against the demon city in Simboa and couldn't leave. After a short moment of shock, the Pope immediately expressed his gratitude to Dyson and the others. However, now that the spies arranged by the Sovereign of Hell were all eliminated by the International Security Committee, the Pope's heart was completely at ease. Although the Pope had indeed been careless before, the Sovereign of Hell probably didn't have the power to cause any trouble during the ceremony tomorrow, right? After losing so many of his men and almost all his hidden strongholds were wiped out, what else could the Sovereign of Hell do? Moreover, the Sovereign of Hell didn't have a physical body. He could only linger in the demon city while at death's door. His men were not even worth mentioning. After Dyson returned from the Vatican, He conveyed the Pope's gratitude to Wang Lan and invited Wang Lan and the others to the church tomorrow to observe the ceremony. It was now 5 o'clock in the morning. There were still 5 hours before the Christmas ceremony. After fighting for the whole night, everyone was exhausted. Wang Lan asked everyone to take a good rest. Although they had dealt a heavy blow to the Sovereign of Hell's secret forces last night, Wang Lan still had a feeling that the Sovereign of Hell's plan was not as simple as it seemed. He must have some other tricks up his sleeve. After sleeping for 5 hours, Wang Lan was finally woken up by Dyson to attend the ceremony of the Nation of God. He was wearing a formal outfit and sat with Dyson on the seat closest to him in the ceremony temple. At this moment, the temple was already crowded with people. Christmas was the most important festival in the Nation of God every year, and this year's Christmas ceremony was especially important because it was the ceremony for the Pope. Therefore, there were even more believers coming to the City of Angels to observe the ceremony this year. There were also believers from all over the world who came here to make a pilgrimage. The number of people in the City of Angels suddenly increased by a few times. When the clock struck 10 o'clock, the ceremony officially began. The Pope was wearing a luxurious white robe and a golden mask as he came to the front of the altar. Instantly, the believers cheered. It was like an otaku from a host country attending a two-dimensional concert. The sound wave was getting louder and louder. It was like the sky was about to be lifted up. I, God York of Lion, I pray to the gods that my Lord will have mercy on the world. May he bless the world and eliminate hatred, greed, jealousy, arrogance, pain, sadness, and misfortune. May the people listen to my Lord's teachings. May they love the world, be kind to their friends, uphold justice, and be strong enough to defeat evil. I, Lion, am fortunate to have the trust of the people of God. I have been in charge of the Holy Scepter for 70 years. Although I have not achieved anything great, I have been diligently spreading the light of God and spreading the will of God throughout the world. Now that I am old, I will return to the embrace of my God. Today is the last time I, Lion, will host the Christmas ceremony as the Pope. I am here to ask for instructions from God and declare to the believers of God that the scepter will be passed on to my close comrade, my trusted disciple, the Bishop of Justice, Mura. As the Pope spoke, the Bishop of Justice slowly walked to the altar and stood behind the Pope. Then he knelt down on one knee and stretched out his hands. The Pope placed the scepter in the hands of the Bishop of Justice. Mura, from today onwards, you will be the 523rd Pope of the divine religion. You will inherit the will of the 522nd Pope and worship God's teachings. You will lead the 150 million believers in the world to spread the light of God and teach the world love, justice, and kindness. Then the Pope helped the Bishop of Justice up. Go, make your vow to God and accept the cheers of the believers. Mura took the scepter and smiled faintly. He walked up the altar and raised the scepter high. At this moment, there was only one person in the world. It was the new Pope Mura. At this moment, the tens of thousands of believers in the surroundings knelt on the ground in unison, prostrating themselves on the ground and worshiping him. It's not easy. After so many years, the holy staff of the Holy Church is finally in my hands. Mura raised the holy staff high and suddenly murmured. Instantly, everybody raised their heads and looked at Mula in astonishment. Was that what the Pope said in his prayer? Everyone could recite the Holy Scepter's prayers by heart. However, Mura's words were not suitable for such a solemn occasion. Every pope would take over the Holy Scepter in fear and trepidation. Then, they would make their vow to God solemnly. However, Mura's tone was unexpectedly casual. The Pope's expression instantly turned gloomy, while Wang Lan's expression also changed slightly. Something might happen. Tell our brothers to get ready, Wang Lan said softly. Dyson hurriedly grabbed his earpiece and issued a warning to his brothers in the International Security Committee. It's Christmas Day. It's the Vatican's sacred day. It's been 3,000 years. I've been fighting with the Vatican for so many years. But today, I want this annoying organization to become history. The God has already fallen and a new God is about to be born. and this new god should be me. Mura, what are you talking about? A bishop in red couldn't hold it in anymore. He stood up and shouted. He's not Mura. The Pope shouted. He stood up slowly. He's the Lord of Hell. Huh, old man, you don't know who I am until now. Isn't it too late? Boom. The earth quaked. Mullah pointed his scepter at the sky. A white light shot out from the scepter. In the blink of an eye, countless rays poured down from the sky. This holy light made the world even more holy. However, along with the sound of glass shattering, spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the holy light that filled the sky. The believers stared at the scene with their eyes wide open, unable to believe what they were seeing. The holy light array was broken. What was even more unbelievable was that the new pope with the scepter was the Lord of Hell, the biggest enemy of the Vatican. Ha ha! The god has fallen and a new god has risen. From now on, the Hell sect will replace the Holy Court and become the new god sect. In your dreams, the Pope took a step forward and pulled his robe, revealing the shining armor underneath. Holy shield, holy sword, the Pope shouted. He held the holy shield in one hand and the holy sword in the other. His aura surged and the holy light condensed into a 1-meter-tall wall of holy light. Boom! The sword turned into a mote and slashed down at Mura's head. Mura didn't dodge. Instead, he raised his hand and a ripple spread out. A terrifying wave of air swept out, lifting up the nearby spectator stands. At this moment, the believers finally realized what was going on. They screamed and ran in all directions. Help the Pope! A red-robed cardinal roared and rushed up with 12 red-robed cardinals. Protect the believers and evacuate. Leave the Lord of Hell to me. Also, tell the Saintess and the Peerless Knight to come back and help. Wang Lan hesitated for a moment and stood up. General Dyson, help the Vatican evacuate the people. I'll go back to help the Pope. Among the agents of the International Security Committee, only Wang Lan and Yulia could help the Pope. The others would be killed if they went up. It was better to protect as many people as possible. By the time Wang Lan stood up, Yulia was already bathing in holy light as she rushed towards the platform. Chapter 605. The Pope and the Lord of Hell froze in midair. The Pope's hair and beard danced in the air. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Mura, who was smiling calmly. The lifespan of a human is really short. You're already so old. Your current strength is not even half of what it was 30 years ago. How sad. The Lord of Hell stretched out his finger and flicked it. Pop! The pontiff's body was blown away. At the same time, Yulia appeared in the sky, bathed in holy light. The divine sword in her hand slashed down at the sovereign of Hell. Boom! The Lord of Hell pushed his hand forward, and a ripple appeared behind him. Yulia's sword froze in midair. Lord Pope, are you all right? Yulia looked behind her nervously. The Pope was thrown to the ground and rolled to the side of the altar. The altar of the temple was suddenly shrouded in thick smoke. Within the smoke, an evil power was wreaking havoc. Many of the Vatican's elites wanted to rush up the altar, but they felt like they were in an abyss. They were surrounded by coldness and fear. The believers who rushed to the altar were quickly evacuated. Although the believers were screaming in fear, they still kept looking back at the sacred altar, hoping to see the Pope show his power and suppress the evil Lord of Hell. But what they saw was the Pope being sent flying by the Lord of Hell with just one move. This made the believers' hearts sink. It was already unacceptable that the Lord of Hell destroyed the Christmas ceremony. Now, the Pope was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot in front of the Lord of Hell. It was even more unacceptable. Most of the believers were not angry, but sad. They were sad that the divine religion had fallen. They were sad that their faith was so powerless in the face of a disaster. Pope, Pope, wake up! Pope! The Pope's voice resonated with heaven and earth, exploding in his heart. The Pope's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. His eyes were milky white. You are the child that the Pope brought back 20 years ago, right? Do you want to know your background? Do you want to know who your parents are? Don't try to trick me. Yulia's face showed that she was struggling, but her struggling expression showed that she had been persuaded. He. The demon's bewitchment is never a lie. I only know how to use facts to lure people. The one who is truly deceiving the world is the Holy Sea. You use hypocrisy to tell the world that they should be benevolent, but what have you done? Bankai, judgment of light. A loud shout suddenly rang out, and the world was instantly enveloped in light. Yulia, who had just been tempted by the king of hell and couldn't help but want to know the truth, suddenly woke up. The light that filled the sky was like the holy sound of heaven. Yulia immediately felt a lingering fear. She had almost asked that question just now. Once she asked the question, Yulia knew that she would be consigned to eternal damnation because the answer from the sovereign of hell would definitely shatter her state of mind. The white light fell down like a willow branch, and a heavenly sword fell from the white light. Facing Yulia's move, the sovereign of hell only raised his hand to lightly block it, but facing Wang Lan's judgment of light, the sovereign of hell's face was full of solemnity. The sovereign of hell roared, and a spatial ripple appeared in the sky. The judgment of light fell down and fiercely collided with the ripple in the sky. The sovereign of hell curiously raised his head to look at Wang Lan, and there was a strong sense of fear in his eyes. You are the heaven's pride of the Jade State, right? I heard that Chi Mei also fell in your hands. You are quite extraordinary. Unfortunately, you are still too young. If 20 years later, you might be my greatest rival. But now, the sovereign of hell suddenly burst out with a strong spatial fluctuation, and in an instant, a scarlet world appeared beside the sovereign of hell. The judgment of light suddenly disappeared, and the scarlet world wrapped Wang Lan even more terrifyingly. Once the scarlet world swallowed Wang Lan, there was no doubt that he would die. At the moment when the scarlet world was about to surround Wang Lan, a spatial ripple appeared around him at the same time. With a whoosh, Wang Lan's figure disappeared in an instant. Space element? The sovereign of hell showed a surprised expression for the first time. How rare was the space element? Not to mention the human race. Even in the entire universe, including the powerful demons, there were very few of them. Sovereign of hell. A deep roar sounded, and the Pope stood up again. The holy light around his body was even more dazzling and even more sacred. The sovereign of hell looked at the Pope mockingly, and the corner of his mouth raised into a cold smile. Are you going to risk your life? But you are already old, and your power is no longer a threat to me. Even if I am not as strong as I used to be, I am determined to protect the glory of the Holy Sea. The Pope stretched out his hand, and the starry sky suddenly became bright. Among the stars in the sky, 12 constellations reflected each other's brilliance, and the constellations turned into 2 hexagons that overlapped with each other. After the hexagons overlapped, the hexagons emitted a dazzling light, and a huge book seemed to appear in the light, with the universe as the background and the starry sky as the pages. The great truth spell. The sovereign of hell's expression became serious, and his face became gloomy. Your Holiness! Yulia, who had broken free from the sovereign of hell's restraint, hurriedly retreated to the Pope's side and asked nervously. The Pope stood up with a solemn expression and took a step forward. The light around his body shot into the sky like a pillar of light that stirred up the starry sky above his head. God says, evil will be dispelled by justice, and light will come. Along with the Pope's singing, the starry sky scroll in the sky slowly turned a page, and suddenly, countless rays of light sprinkled down on the earth like stars. On the altar, the thick black fog that covered the entire altar was dispelled by the starry light, and an indescribable power enveloped the altar. Black mysterious runes appeared on the sovereign of hell's face, and his body emitted a deep black light that was pulsating like a pulse. In the hotel of the International Security Committee, the space was slightly distorted, and Wang Lan's figure instantly appeared. After he appeared, Wang Lan's face was pale, and beads of cold sweat were dripping down his forehead. That moment just now was truly thrilling. Wang Lan had almost been swallowed by the red space, and if she had been swallowed by the red space, she would have been like a fish on a chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Aside from the intense battle at the altar, the entire city of angels was in chaos. Most of the holy knights from a nation of God were sent to the Simboa region to fight against the demon citadel, and the city of angels was now defenseless. Fortunately, Wang Lan had already arranged for the elites of the International Security Committee to be stationed here, and there were elites in every region of the City of Angels. Moreover, Wang Lan and the others' operation yesterday had dealt a heavy blow to the forces that the Sovereign of Hell had secretly arranged. Although the Sovereign of Hell's attack was very sudden, the situation in the City of Angels was still in a stable stage. But Wang Lan knew very well that the most important battle was still in the Holy See, the battle between the Pope and the Sovereign of Hell. If the Sovereign of Hell won, the International Security Committee would not be able to stabilize the City of Angels and solve the chaos in the City of Angels. Would the Pope, who is already so old, be able to fight against the Sovereign of Hell? The holy light around the Pope's body was getting thicker and thicker. On the contrary, the Pope's face was getting paler and paler. Powerful energy kept pouring down from the stars, bombarding the Sovereign of Hell who was covered in holy light. But the strange thing was, although the Pope seemed to be attacking continuously, the Sovereign of Hell did not seem to be attacked at all. He raised his arm and blocked all the holy light attacks easily. The Pope seemed to be giving his all, but he did not have any powerful attack. On the other hand, the Sovereign of Hell looked relaxed, but he was trapped in a small space. I don't get it. Dyson stood at the top of the hotel and looked at the battle from afar. The Pope's strength is undeniable. Even if he's old, once he goes all out, his combat strength is not inferior to when he was young. There are 20 top elites in the world, and the Pope is the pinnacle of them. The Pope's move is not to win. It's to buy time. Wang Lan appeared next to Dyson and said, "How are the brothers doing?" "They're doing fine, but the Pope is the key." "You said the Pope is buying time?" "Well, the Pope alone can't stop the Sovereign of Hell. I was still trying to convince him yesterday, but the Pope was still very confident. He even said that he could easily suppress the Sovereign of Hell in the Holy Light Circle." Dyson shook his head and sighed in disdain. "Wasn't the Holy Light Circle destroyed in the beginning?" Wang Lan sighed. The Holy Light Array was indeed the Pope's greatest trump card. However, he did not expect the King of Hell to be the Bishop of Justice. The Holy Light Array was destroyed right from the start, which was why he was so passive. Then what do we do next? What do we do if the Sovereign of Hell wins? Even if the Sovereign of Hell wins against the nation of God, it doesn't mean he'll win against the world. Even if the Sovereign of Hell wins, 10 astral soul elites in the world can take care of him. The Sovereign of Hell is not much of a threat to humans. The real threat is the time gem. As long as the gem is not activated, we still have a chance. Aren't we here for the space-time gem? Suddenly, the sky turned dark. Under the dark clouds, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Bolts of lightning pierced into the ground like heavenly swords. What a powerful aura. Did an expert come? Wang Lan asked, slightly shaken. Peerless Knight. It's the Peerless Knight. As soon as Dyson finished speaking, a Pegasus rushed out of the clouds and flew towards the Holy See Temple. Wang Lan instantly opened her purple eyes of the void and looked over. An old man in chained armor, wielding a battle axe, had a look of battle intent on his face. The Pegasus he was riding was identical to the legendary unicorn. According to legends, unicorns could run in the sky on lightning. When the Peerless Knight arrived, the Pope's face was filled with excitement. However, the Sovereign of Hell's face suddenly became gloomy. "You used the great true word technique just to trap me and wait for the Peerless Knight to arrive. You've already used the great true word technique once. Do you think you're a match for me without it?" Chapter 606. The Peerless Knight had a snow-white beard that reached his chest, making him look very muscular. He was holding 2 giant axes in his hands, and the moment he landed, he shielded the Pope behind him. "Old friend," the Pope's voice sounded. "This time, we have to destroy the King of Hell, even if we have to risk our lives. The nation of God will not be able to withstand the next attack. The Pope slowly straightened his body, and the astral power around him surged into the sky again. The book in the sky was about to disappear, but the Pope's astral power made it clear again. Seeing this, the King of Hell's face turned gloomy. You can use the great word of truth twice in a row. Every Pope can only use it once every 3 years. You're right. The great word of truth can only be used once every 3 years. But I'm not the Pope. The great word of truth. Boom! The laws of heaven and earth came crashing down on the King of Hell. In the face of the Takashi Hoshi, the King of Hell could only use the laws of the world to fight back. The small amount of laws of the big world against the full power of the small world. The space was distorted, and the chains of law were entangled in an instant, colliding with each other. The King of Hell looked up at the fight between the laws of space, and his face was gloomy. Cough, cough, cough. Suddenly, the peerless knight let out a violent cough. It was very sudden in the middle of the battlefield. "Old friend, are you all right?" the Pope asked nervously. "Cough, cough, cough. I'm fine. Just a little bit of pain." The peerless knight's face turned red. He was the only one who knew his real condition. Although the peerless knight was 20 years younger than the Pope, his body had deteriorated a lot. The peerless knight had been fighting his whole life. He was a peerless warrior on the battlefield. He was an invincible overlord. But in the end, he was still a human. No matter how much blood he had, he would have to pay for it sooner or later. He had been injured countless times, and it eventually accumulated into hidden injuries. When he was old, these hidden injuries would erupt like a flood. However, the peerless knight could not reveal his condition. He was the god of war of the nation of God. The god of war of the nation of God could not fall. For the holy see, for the nation of God, and for himself. To the peerless knight, the reappearance of the King of Hell might be a good thing. At least the peerless knight did not need to lie on his sickbed and say goodbye to his family, friends, and followers. He could die a glorious death in battle, drawing a perfect end to his glorious life. The peerless knight's body was surrounded by lightning, and a violent aura surged out of him. His body turned into a thunderbolt, and he rushed into the battle of the space laws. The battle axe in his hand was emitting a monstrous aura, and he swung it down, cutting off several of the law chains in the Hell Monarch space. As the peerless knight burst forth, the Pope's great word of truth instantly turned the tables, suppressing the Hell Lord's chains of law. Wang Lan and the others who were watching this scene from afar were greatly shocked. Wang Lan, in particular, felt a chill in his heart. Although Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi was only at the early astral sea level, he had mastered many diamond-level Takashi Hoshi skills. His combat power was close to the level of the 5 emperors. He had fought side by side with the White Emperor before, so he had a clear understanding of the 5 emperors' power. Although Wang Lan's power was weaker than the 5 emperors, the difference was not that big. At least, he could still put up a fight against the 5 emperors, Wang Lan. However, watching the battle between the Pope and the King of Hell, Wang Lan only felt a sense of powerlessness. According to the legends, the Pope of the Nation of God was a top fighter. Even if they were all at the astral soul level, he was still far superior. 70 years ago, before the demons had retreated, the Pope was already known as the most powerful fighter of the human world. Back then, the demons' army was like a hot knife through butter, and they almost took down 70% of the human world. But even when they retreated, they could not take down the nation of God because of the Pope. After the war ended, the Pope became a legend. During this time, astral soul level fighters emerged one after another, and they fell one after another. But the Pope was still the top fighter. To this day, no one dared to challenge him. Wang Lan used to think that since they were all at the astral soul level, the difference between them should be limited. But now Wang Lan understood that the difference between the astral soul level and the astral soul level was the same as the astral sea level. In the astral soul level, there was also the difference between a titled fighter and a normal astral sea level fighter. Wang Lan could not fight against someone who could borrow the laws of heaven and earth. Perhaps the only one who could fight against him was the Jiangshan king, who had also comprehended the laws of heaven and earth. The peerless knight's intervention turned the situation around quickly. It was not that the peerless knight was strong, but that he was the straw that broke the balance. The peerless knight was like a mad bull, roaring like a rhino. He waved his battle axe and charged into the king of hell's domain. King of hell, Doc. The peerless knight roared and leaped high. The axe in his hand spewed out terrifying lightning as he chopped down on the king of hell's head. The king of hell raised his hand and formed a lotus with his fingers. A black barrier appeared at the tip of his finger, and the lightning axe slammed into the barrier. The sharp lightning wreaked havoc and instantly dyed the black barrier white. A mocking sneer appeared on the king of hell's face. He flicked his lotus-shaped finger, and a terrifying shockwave rippled out. The peerless knight spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backward. I thought the Pope was so old that he shouldn't have any strength left. I didn't expect him to be so strong. But you're so much younger than the Pope, but your strength has regressed so much. The king of hell saw through the peerless knight's strength, and a confident smile appeared on his face again. With his hands behind his back, dozens of law chains shot out from his body and smashed into the Pope's law binding in the sky. "Old friend, how are you?" the Pope asked nervously. "Your Holiness, I'm old." The peerless knight stood up with difficulty. His helmet rolled off, revealing his white hair. His face was even older than the Pope's. "But I am the guardian of the Church. I was born for the Holy War, and I will die for the Holy War." The peerless knight's eyes suddenly widened, and a violent aura burst out from him. "Old friend," the Pope's face changed. "I am the peerless knight." Boom! A dazzling white light shot into the sky. The light was so bright that the people who were watching the battle couldn't even open their eyes. Screech! A sharp neigh sounded, and a white light shot into the battlefield like an arrow and arrived beside the peerless knight. It was the peerless knight's unicorn war horse. The peerless knight flipped onto the horse, and the aura of the man and the horse merged into one. The aura that rippled out seemed to come from ancient times. Peerless knight of the heavenly horse, starry sky. The peerless knight roared, and the war horse under his feet suddenly neighed into the sky. It raised its hooves and charged towards the king of hell. In the process of charging, the peerless knight's lightning wrapped around himself and his war horse, and turned into a huge spear that rushed towards the king of hell. "Ruth, when are you going to make your move?" The king of hell said in a deep voice. The dark energy around him gathered and turned into a huge shield in front of him. When the sovereign of hell mentioned Ruth, the expressions of the red-robed cardinals changed drastically. Ruth's name was the Holy Maiden of the Vatican. According to the Vatican's teachings, the Holy Maiden was the servant of the gods. She was also the representative of the gods in the mortal world, and her position in the divine religion was similar to that of the Pope. Now, that Mura, who had just taken over the Holy Scepter, was the king of hell's reincarnation. Could it be that the Holy Maiden had betrayed the divine religion and become the king of hell's reincarnation? If that was the case, it would be a disaster for the divine religion. Following the king of hell's words, the sky distorted, and a silver-haired woman appeared in the sky with a huge vase in her hands. The vase was rippling with divine light, and waves of pressure were pressing down on the ground. The Holy Maiden actually appeared. Everyone's heart sank. If the Holy Maiden had betrayed the divine religion, what would happen to the divine religion? Would there still be hope for the divine religion? "Ruth, what are you waiting for? Kill the Pope. Otherwise, I will expose the scandal between you and the Pope." The king of hell roared with a ferocious face. However, the Holy Maiden in the sky was still struggling. With the help of the Holy Grail, the Holy Maiden managed to suppress the king of hell's spell for a short period of time. This made the king of hell even more furious. The Holy Maiden was the most important chess piece in his ambush. He did not expect her to be out of his control at this critical moment. At this critical moment, the peerless knight's charge had already arrived in front of him. Boom! The peerless knight crashed into the king of hell's defensive barrier. The king of hell's hair was blown away by the peerless knight, and he was sent flying by the peerless knight. At this moment, The Pope's eyes lit up. He waved his hand, and the stars in the sky shone brightly. Countless stars fell from the sky and turned into a heavenly sword. Boom, boom, boom. A loud sound rang out, and dust filled the sky. The Holy Maiden held the Holy Grail and did not make a move. When the dust settled, a huge hole appeared in the King of Hell's chest. The peerless knight and the King of Hell brushed past each other. The sound of galloping hooves rang out, and all of a sudden, the unicorn raised its head to the skies and gave a sorrowful cry before its limbs went limp and it fell to the ground, unable to get up. The peerless knight on its back also fell off, no longer breathing. Cough, cough, cough. Ha ha ha. Do you think you can defeat me like this? What you defeated me is just my physical body. As long as I am within my laws, I am immortal. The King of Hell slowly stood up. Flames were burning around his body, and in the blink of an eye, the body of the Bishop of Justice was burned to ashes. A ball of flame formed into ripples in the sky. The Pope in the sky was panting heavily. Large beads of sweat were dripping down his wrinkled face. This attack was the strongest attack that he and the peerless knight could make together. If they could not defeat the King of Hell with this attack, they would not be able to fight anymore. Moreover, the peerless knight had used his life to make this attack. The Pope's eyes were filled with pity. However, they still had a chance. The peerless knight was prepared to die. As the Pope, how could he cherish his life? The Pope looked at the Holy Maiden who was holding the Holy Grail. Holy Maiden, give me the Holy Grail. Your Holiness. The Holy Maiden's body trembled. However, a determined expression appeared on her face. The Vatican can do without the Holy Maiden, but it can't do without the Pope. As she spoke, the Holy Grail in the Holy Maiden's hand suddenly emitted a dazzling white light. Chapter 607. The Saintess burned her astral power and life force as she charged towards the alternate dimension of the Lord of Hell. The Lord of Hell looked at the Saintess coldly, his face filled with shame and anger. Ruth, aren't you afraid that I'll tell the world about your scandal with the Pope? I'm the Saintess of the Vatican. The glory of the divine religion is my mission. Die. The Saintess raised the Holy Grail and smashed it towards the Lord of Hell's dimension. The Lord of Hell immediately stretched out his arms, and dark energy filled the entire alternate dimension. Boom! With a loud explosion, a terrifying shockwave swept out from the center of the collision. The violent shockwave destroyed the entire altar and spread to the surroundings of the Holy See. In an instant, the buildings around the altar were annihilated by the shockwave. Crack! With a crisp sound, a crack appeared on the Hell Monarch's dimensional space. At the same time, a crack also appeared on the Holy Grail held by the Saintess. The Lord of Hell's expression changed. Without hesitation, he abandoned the alternate dimension and fled. Boom! Following the escape of the Sovereign of Hell, the dimensional space suddenly lost its power and exploded with a bang. The Saintess looked at the Lord of Hell, who was escaping. She ignored the powerful shockwave and charged towards the Lord of Hell. Ruth, you deserve to die. The Lord of Hell shouted coldly. A ripple spread out from the Lord of Hell's fingertip. Instantly, a black inscription appeared on the Saintess's face. The spell that was originally suppressed by the Holy Grail erupted in an instant after it was no longer suppressed by the Holy Grail. A black fog suddenly rose around the Saintess. Suddenly, pitch-black flames ignited and engulfed the Saintess. Even though she was on fire, the Saintess still chased after the Lord of Hell with the Holy Grail. At this moment, the Lord of Hell's dimension distorted. In the ripple, the Lord of Hell disappeared. Beep, beep, beep. At this moment, the space-time gem monitor in the hotel sounded an alarm. Special Agent Dyson, Special Agent Wong Lan, the location of the space-time gem has been detected. Where is it? The coordinates are in Simboa, where the Demon City is. Why couldn't we detect it before? Dyson asked in confusion. Previously, the space-time gem should have been in the King of Hell's personal alternate dimension. Now that the alternate dimension has been destroyed by the Saintess, there is no place to hide the space-time gem. Naturally, it was detected. Dyson nodded silently. He walked to the window and looked at the Holy See Divine Palace that had almost turned into ruins. What a fierce battle. This is a battle for the dignity of the nation of God. Although we didn't win, we still showed the will of the nation of God. The peerless knight and the holy maiden had died in battle, and the Pope was severely injured. However, this battle has destroyed the sovereign of Hell's greatest trump card. The remaining sovereigns of Hell will be much easier to deal with. I'll inform the astral soul realm experts to gather. By the way, Wang Lan, doesn't your Jade State have a super expert called the King of Jiangshan? How about inviting him over? The distance between the Jade State and the nation of God is nothing to King Jiang, and there's no need for that for now. If a group of Star Soul Realm experts aren't a match for the Sovereign of Hell, it's not too late to invite the King of Mountains and Rivers. Wang Lan said indifferently with his hands behind his back. It wasn't that Wang Lan didn't want to make a move in this battle, but he couldn't. Without the consent of the nation of God, the agents of the International Security Committee couldn't act rashly. Wang Lan had already made a move before, but in the end, it was just a small taste. First, the Sovereign of Hell, that had an alternate dimension, was just too powerful. If Wang Lan insisted on fighting, he would have been instantly killed by the Sovereign of Hell. Second, this was the nation of God's own battle. Now that the dust had settled, although the nation of God was in a miserable state, they were still able to fight the Sovereign of Hell to a draw. Night fell, and the entire city of angels fell into a dead silence. The chaos during the day seemed to have turned the city of angels into a ghost town. The holy light circle was destroyed, and so was the power system. The world was dark as far as the eye could see. Tap, tap, tap. Someone knocked on the door. Jiang Xinyu went to the door and opened it. It was Yulia. Wang Lan looked at the Holy Grail on Yulia's back and froze for a moment. However, he quickly understood. Who else in the nation of God had the right to hold the Holy Grail? The saint was dead, so Yulia was probably the most powerful female Takashi Hoshi in the nation of God. Even most of the cardinals were only at the pinnacle of the Star Sea level. Congratulations on becoming the new Holy Maiden, Wang Lan said with a faint smile. Other than this, Wang Lan really didn't know what else to say. Yulia bowed deeply to Wang Lan and said emotionally, Wang Lan, I want you to go save the Pope. Jiang Xinyu asked in confusion. The nation of God's medical skills are the best in the world. Is there no one who can heal the Pope? The Takashi Hoshi of the nation of God is powerful, but it's nothing compared to Wang Lan's Takashi Hoshi. In the past, the number one healer of the nation of God was the saint, but now she's dead. The Pope was hurt too badly in today's battle, but the Holy See is in a crisis right now. So, Wang Lan, please go save the Pope. Please. Wang Lan couldn't reject such a legitimate reason. If he did, it would cause an international dispute. Wang Lan also saw the Pope from afar after the battle. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that the Pope was on the verge of death. Even Di Lao was in a much better state than the Pope when he fought against the trolls after his ascension. Although Abel was worried that the Pope would take this opportunity to cause trouble, he didn't think the Pope would be able to take care of himself. After hesitating for a bit, Wang Lan nodded. You can go out first. I have a few words to say to my teammates. Yulia didn't ask anything. She just stood up and walked out the door. Xinyu, Xiangwen, if anything happens tonight, ask Dyson to escort you out of the nation of God. I've already given the order to Lieutenant General Dyson. If there's any movement, he will carry it out immediately. Don't be stupid and refuse to leave. What's wrong? Is there danger? Jiang Xinyu asked nervously. What danger? Su Xiangwen didn't care. If there's any danger, Lan Zi would have already teleported to the country. Xiangwen knows me best. No one in this world who can stop me from running away has been born yet. Back then, didn't the demon world's divine warriors make me leave whenever I want? All right then, be careful. Wang Lan walked out of the door and flew to the Holy See under Yulia's lead. The Holy See was completely under martial law. There was a team of holy knights in 3 units and a cardinal in 10 steps. The Pope's palace was located at the 14th palace of the Holy Realm. To reach the Pope's palace, One had to pass through the palaces of the 12 cardinals. Yulia brought Wang Lan to the Saintess Palace. Just as she was about to bring Wang Lan to the palace, she was stopped by 6 cardinals. Yulia, just send him to the Saintess Palace. The Pope's palace is in front. You can't enter without his permission. Plus, you just took over the Holy Grail. Making a contract with the Holy Grail is your priority. But no buts. This is the Pope's order. Hearing this, Wang Lan sneered. It seemed that the Holy See didn't have good intentions. But Wang Lan didn't understand. He was just a titled Takashi Hoshi. He hadn't even reached the astral soul realm. Why did the Pope care so much about him? Wang Lan did not have the adventurous spirit of nothing ventured, nothing gained. Wang Lan didn't use arrogance to test danger. So at this point, Wang Lan stopped. It seems that the Pope has woken up. Since he's awake, the Takashi Hoshi in the Holy Nation should be able to cure him. I don't need to save him. Goodbye. Wang Lan, my friend, please wait. A voice drifted over like a breeze into Wang Lan's ears. Little friend, please come up for a chat. Does the Pope want to force me? Wang Lan used secret sound transmission and followed the direction of the sound. Wang Lan, my friend, you're exaggerating. Suddenly, a powerful aura appeared in the sky. In the night sky, the stars shone brightly. 12 constellations appeared in the sky at the same time, and they were surprisingly bright. The area covered by these 12 constellations wasn't the Saintess Palace where Wang Lan was, but the hotel where the International Security Committee was staying. This scene made Wang Lan's expression change drastically. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Pope! Yulia's expression changed drastically. She cried out in horror. Yulia, I just want to have a chat with Wang Lan. I don't mean any harm. The Pope said that he didn't mean any harm. But why did you attack the hotel of the International Security Committee? Yulia, what kind of tone are you using to talk to the Pope? Are you planning to betray the church as well? This was like a sharp blade stabbing into Yulia's heart. Although her teacher, the previous holy maiden, had died in the battle against the King of Hell, it was an indisputable fact that she had betrayed the church before that. Yulia's expression changed drastically. She finally knelt on the ground and put down the Holy Grail in her hand. Yulia is the new saintess of the Holy Church, but I'm also a level 6 agent of the International Security Committee. Now that the matter with the Holy Church is over, it's time for me to return. As she spoke, she slowly came to Wang Lan's side. I know that if you want to leave, no one in the Holy Kingdom can stop you. Don't worry about Jiang Xinyu. If the Holy Kingdom wants to use them to threaten you, they will kill me first. Don't worry, the Holy Kingdom won't be willing to do that. Wang Lan smirked. You're going to betray the nation of God for a few people you barely know? It's not betrayal, it's correction. I'm not doing this for you guys. I'm doing this for the Holy Kingdom. What happened 30 years ago can't be allowed to happen again. If it does, the nation of God will be doomed. As she spoke, Yulia flew into the sky and disappeared into the night. Yulia, if you dare to leave, I'll strip you of your saintess title. A red-robed bishop roared. If I don't go, then I don't deserve to be a saintess. Yulia's cold voice came down from the sky. Sigh. A long sigh came from the sky, and the Star Palace formation disappeared without a trace. A beam of starlight suddenly lit up. Countless stars twisted and rippled in front of Wang Lan like fireflies. The fireflies dispersed, revealing the figure of the Pope. Chapter 608. Wang Lan, let's talk. The Pope was wearing a purple robe, which made him look very luxurious. However, his old face made Wang Lan feel like he was a flickering candle that could go out at any time. After hearing what the Pope said, the cardinals and paladins around him flashed and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Your Jade Nation is different from many other nations. In your historical dynasty, the imperial power is supreme and is known as the mandate of heaven. Looking at the whole world, no emperor has the same power as the emperor of the Chinese civilization. Therefore, in the hearts of the men in the Jade State, there seems to be a dream of becoming an emperor. Am I right? The reason why dreams are dreams is because they can never become reality. The era of the dynasty is over, and no one can rule the fate of the people. Why is the Pope suddenly telling me this? Could it be that there are some ambitious people from Jade Nation trying to restore the dynasty? Are you talking about Yu Zhangdong? They are just a bunch of whimsical people. There is no need to worry about them. Then what does the Pope mean? I want you to be the emperor. The Pope looked at Wang Lan and smiled faintly. Me? Ha ha ha. Are you kidding me? Even the powerful people in the country can't restore the dynasty. And you want me to be the emperor? Your Holiness, your words will cause a diplomatic dispute. I'm not talking about the emperor of the Jade State. I'm talking about the Holy Kingdom. The Pope said faintly as he looked back at the almost ruined Holy Realm. If you are willing to join the Holy Kingdom, you will be the Pope of the Holy Kingdom. The Pope of the Holy Kingdom will have the greatest power. Not only will you be able to rule the 80 million people in the country, you will also have 130 million followers outside the world. I see. But this is very different from the emperor, I understand. The emperor, I understand, is to rule the world when he is awake and to sleep on the lap of a beauty when he is drunk. The Pope of the Holy Kingdom has no desires and no desires. What fun is there in being an emperor like this? You can be an exception. You could be the emperor according to your own understanding. How about it? No one will limit you, and no one can limit you. You can even take a saintess as your wife. You can also have a harem like the ancient emperors of the Jade State. Why? I still don't understand what you see in me. Should I change my profession? Because of your potential, because of your talent, because of your destiny, because you are the only exception in this world. Wang Lan's pupils shrank. But I still refuse. Why? Was being an ordinary citizen of the Jade State better than being the Pope of the Holy Kingdom? Even if you're highly regarded in the nation of God, there's no way you'll have the same authority as the Pope. Because I don't like it. Wang Lan looked into the Pope's eyes and said calmly, You don't like it? Indeed, it's hard to buy my willingness. No matter how great the temptation is, no matter how great the benefits are, it can't compare to the 3 words I don't like it. The Pope let out a long sigh. You will like it. Buzz. All of a sudden, a series of buzzing sounds could be heard, and the entire world instantly became silent. It was also at this moment that Wang Lan became alert. He immediately sank his spiritual will into the fetus orb. The Pope's eyes suddenly lit up as he looked at Wang Lan. A majestic power of the will crossed time and space and rushed into Wang Lan's mind. Wang Lan's body trembled, and a look of horror appeared on his face. This was because the power of the will had chased after Wang Lan's spiritual will and rushed into the soul of the fetus orb. The call of God didn't work in the depths of one's memory, but in one's soul. This was too careless. The Pope's power of the will rushed into Wang Lan's mind like a flood. It carried with it an irresistible will to attack Wang Lan. In an instant, the spell in Wang Lan's mind was activated, and an unimaginable amount of power of the will emerged. Don't you dare, Pope! The Pope's face suddenly changed. In Wang Lan's mind, an old man with a head full of silver hair appeared in the void. The old man's silver hair fluttered in the wind. He gently raised a finger and pointed it at the Pope, whose body was flickering with golden light. This finger seemed to pierce through the void. The Pope's figure violently distorted, and a wave of air swept out from Wang Lan's mind. Wang Lan only felt a sharp pain in his head and was immediately shaken into a daze. Thousands of miles away in the capital of the Jade State, in an ordinary courtyard house, Di Lao looked nervously at old Ci, who was emitting a bright light all over his body. His face was filled with both anger and heartache. How dare you, Pope? Boom! With a loud sound, the white light around old Ci turned into an arrow and shot into the sky, disappearing into the void in the blink of an eye. Old Ci's body was like a leaf in the wind, about to fall. Di Lao hurriedly stepped forward and hugged old Ci. In Di Lao's arms, old Ci felt a long-lost happiness. Euron, how are you? Di Lao asked nervously. As expected, I guessed correctly that old man. Humph, he wants to inspire Wang Lan? In his dreams. Old Ci waved his small fists in the air. There was no sadness on his face, as if he was about to die. Instead, he was as excited as a young girl. Di Jing, that old man, is one of the best in the world. He has been the best in the world for almost 100 years. In the past 70 years, there have been many Star Soul Realm experts, but no one dared to say that they could surpass that old man. But today, he was defeated by me. I won against that old man. Am I not the best in the world? Yes, yes, yes. Of course, Yurong is the best in the world. In my heart, you have always been the best in the world. Di Lao said solemnly as tears flowed down his cheeks. Don't lie. That's not what you said before. That's because I didn't dare to tell you the truth. I was afraid that you would scold me as a shameless old man. Di Lao's breathing was slightly hurried. In my heart, you are the best in the world, the best in the world. The hand of the old man in his embrace loosened. Hearing Di Lao's words, old CI closed his eyes with a smile. On the other side, Wang Lan suddenly quivered. His whole body trembled as he came back to his senses. The Pope before him was still standing in front of him. His round eyes were filled with astonishment. Although the Pope's expression was so lively, he no longer had any signs of life. Wang Lan reached out his trembling hand and gently placed it on the Pope's chest. There was a deathly stillness in his chest. There was no heartbeat. Dong, dong, dong. A series of footsteps sounded behind him. The 12 red-robed bishops and the group of holy knights rushed over and surrounded the Saint's palace. When the 12 bishops saw the Pope, their expressions changed greatly. Pope! They all went forward, only to find that the Pope was already dead. How could this be? How could this be? Wang Lan, tell me, how could the Pope? The Pope wanted to use God's call on me, but he was hit by the power of the will. So, you know what happened? Wang Lan said coldly and turned around to walk out of the Saint's palace. Stop! You killed our Pope, and you want to leave just like that? A holy knight shouted sternly. What else can I do? Wang Lan's cold eyes fell on the holy knight. The holy knight trembled and took a step back. Don't have the heart to hurt others, but don't have the heart to guard against others. There is no such thing as a free lunch in this world. The Pope tried to set me up, but failed. Does the nation of God still want to make the United Nations their enemy? That one sentence made the 12 red-robed bishops behind him shudder. Wang Lan didn't just represent the Jade State. Wang Lan was sent by the International Security Committee to support the nation of God. He had the United Nations behind him. The nation of God no longer had a pope, a peerless knight, or a saintess. How could the nation of God resist the United Nations? Wang Lan let out a cold laugh and stepped forward again. This time, no one dared to stop Wang Lan. Wang Lan walked past the Saint's palace and down the mountain. As soon as he stepped out of the divine realm and onto the street outside the Holy See, the sound of horses galloping could be heard. An army of holy knights appeared on both sides of the street. In an instant, Wang Lan was surrounded. Do you really want to make the United Nations your enemy? Wang Lan couldn't help but get angry. Anyone who dares to provoke us again will be killed without mercy. You killed the Pope. We can't let you go. Even if you're from the International Security Committee, you killed the Pope. Even the International Security Committee can't protect you. We have to give our people an explanation. Explain to your people. Why don't the nation of God give the world an explanation? Wang Lan was furious. We were invited by the nation of God to help, but what about you? You didn't cooperate with us at all. Especially after the demon citadel appeared, we were just spectators. If the nation of God had listened to our suggestion and gathered all the elites in the world, the peerless knight and the saintess wouldn't have died, and the city of angels wouldn't have been destroyed. The 7 deadly sins of the divine religion, arrogance, jealousy, and greed, you guys have committed all of them. You guys are guilty of all of them. Now you're trying to shift the blame? I'll make it clear today. I'm the one who killed the Pope. He had a death wish. If you guys don't disperse today, I won't hold back. As she spoke, the aura around her gushed out in an instant. Flames ignited around her body, and a colorful phoenix wrapped around Wang Lan's body. A terrifying pressure pressed down from the heavens, and the scorching flames scorched the earth. The group of holy knights standing at the front suddenly felt a torrential heat wave blowing against their faces. Even a Star Sea Realm elite couldn't withstand this heat. The holy knights were caught between a rock and a hard place. Wanglan's strength had far exceeded their expectations. They felt as if they were facing the Pope. If they were to fight head-on, the Holy Knights might have a chance, but the losses would be unimaginable. The nation of God had already taken a huge hit in this battle, but the peerless knights were sacrificed to preserve the overall strength of the nation of God. If the Holy Knights were to take another hit, the nation of God would fall off a cliff. Stop! Just when the Holy Knights were in a dilemma, a shout broke the stalemate. Yulia's white robe fluttered as she descended from the sky and landed beside Wang Lan. Jiang Xinyu and the others flashed and appeared around Wang Lan. Why are you guys here? Didn't I tell you to leave immediately if there's a change? Lan Zi, don't joke around. What's safer than being around you? Su Xiangwen smiled casually. If there's any danger, you'll be the one to bring us here. Wang Lan, if you want to fight, we'll fight with you. If you want to run, we'll run with you. CSCC added. Yulia, are you going to betray the nation of God too? The leader of the Holy Knights stepped forward. Yulia waved her hand, and the Holy Grail appeared on top of her head. I'm a new saintess of the divine religion. I'm in charge of the Holy Grail and 300,000 Holy Knights. Holy Knights, listen up. Chapter 609. After a slight hesitation, the leader of the Holy Knights took a step back and knelt on one knee. He lowered his head to show his submission. With someone taking the lead, the rest of the Holy Knights followed suit and knelt on the ground, declaring their allegiance to Yulia. Yulia let out a sigh of relief and turned to Wang Lan. On behalf of the nation of God, I would like to express my sincere apologies for what the Pope did to you. The nation of God was in the wrong first. After that, I would like to apologize on behalf of myself. I'm sorry. I didn't know the Pope would do this. Although I can understand the Pope's reason for doing this, I know it's unforgivable for you. If I knew the Pope would do this, I wouldn't have come up to you. I understand. You've already proven your stance in the Saintess Palace. Now, I want to know the stance of the entire nation of God. I'll give you an answer tomorrow morning, Yulia quickly said. That night, Wang Lan and the rest secretly went to Simboa. After all, Wang Lan couldn't be too far away from the space-time gem. Otherwise, once the King of Hell activated the gem, Wang Lan wouldn't be able to stop it even if he could. At the same time, the Holy See was also having a meeting. The 12 bishops were arguing about the death of the Pope. Both sides were red in the face. The Pope is the spiritual symbol of our church, and he did die in Wang Lan's hands. If we don't give the world's believers an explanation, our church's credibility will be gone. If the people's hearts are scattered, the church will definitely decline. What are we going to do? Say that the Pope failed to summon Wang Lan and died from the backlash of his power of the will? That's even more humiliating. Who knows how the Pope died? We could have struck first, but Wang Lan ambushed us and killed us. A cardinal roared with a ferocious expression. Harvest Bishop, do you want to be locked in a cage of thorns? The new Bishop of Punishment roared. This is a lie. We can't hide the truth about the death of the Pope. Do you think Wang Lan is just an insignificant person in the Jade State? He is the son of the Yin Emperor, the leader of the younger generation in the Jade State. He is also a powerhouse in the Jade State with the title Greedy Wolf. We'd better come up with a reasonable excuse for the Pope now. Otherwise, forget about making Wang Lan pay the price. Just the saliva of the believers would drown us all. The Pope is doing this for the development of our religion. We just want a new war god. Everything the Pope does is for the sake of the church. The believers will understand. But no one in the world will understand that this is not only a diplomatic dispute between us and the Jade State, but also a dispute between us and the United Nations. The quarrel continued, causing Yulia's expression to become increasingly gloomy. Are you done quarreling? Yulia suddenly slammed the table and shouted. If you keep quarreling like this, there won't be a result until dawn. But we have to make a decision before dawn. Otherwise, it will be too late when the United Nations launches an attack. Saintess, we haven't talked about you yet. Why were you so humble in front of Wang Lan before? How can you apologize to Wang Lan? Why can't we apologize? Do you think the Pope is doing the right thing? Of course it's wrong if he fails, but if he succeeds, then it's right. Do you think the Jade State is like the White Eagle State 30 years ago? Under the current situation, under the threat of the demon's army coming at any time, anyone who dares to offend the Jade State will be mercilessly cut off by the Jade State. Have you forgotten the Nirvana agreement made 200 years ago? If one day the human civilization is in danger, and the demon's army is going to attack the human civilization will abandon all other countries to save the fire of the human civilization, and this fire is the Jade State. All the countries can afford to lose their top forces, but not the Jade State. Fortunately, the Pope failed this time. If he succeeded, it would be the end of the nation of God. Is it really that hard to let go of our arrogance? Is it really that hard to admit our mistakes? If the nation of God doesn't change its mindset, it will be abandoning the human civilization. The nation of God is a whole with all the countries and humans in the world. Yulia's words made all the bishops at the conference table fall into silence. No one wanted to lift the veil, and no one wanted to poke a hole in it. After Yulia lifted the veil, the 12 bishops saw that the nation of God had no advantage at all. It wasn't the world that needed the nation of God, but the nation of God needed the world. The Pope's stance was only on the nation of God's side, but he ignored the fact that he was on the opposite side of the entire human race. If he failed, there was still a chance to redeem himself. If he succeeded, he would push the nation of God into the abyss. Then let's move on to the next question. Who will be the new Pope? The night passed quietly. Looking at the rising sun in the east, Wang Lan and the other elites of the International Security Committee were waiting in the temporary camp outside the demon city. The nation of God was heavily damaged, and so was the king of hell. The nation of God was busy cleaning up the mess that was left behind, and the king of hell returned to the demon city to heal his wounds. Therefore, the demon city was very low-key tonight. Not only did they not provoke the nation of God, but they were also worried that the nation of God's army would attack the demon city. With the nation of God and Wang Lan working together, they had an overwhelming advantage over the demon city. After all, the king of hell was the only powerful fighter in the demon city. There was no way the king of hell could fight against 300,000 holy knights. However, since they had the home advantage, Wang Lan and the others wouldn't make unnecessary sacrifices. They would wait for the elites of the human race to arrive and take down the demon city with the least amount of effort. The only thing Wang Lan was worried about was if the king of hell knew that he was going to lose and use the time gem in advance. If that was the case, Wang Lan would be able to push his way in no matter what. Dyson came to Wang Lan and whispered, "Wang Lan, the elites of the various countries are already on their way. The 3 superheroes from the White Eagle Nation will arrive this afternoon. The 2 Nordic war gods from the Polar Bear will arrive. The Jade State only sent the Green Emperor and the titled Sword God of Wisdom. That's enough. All right, the nation of God announced to the world this morning that they are sorry to you and the world. It was the former Pope who insisted on going against the wishes of the world. This wave of apology and pitifulness has won over a wave of people's hearts. I didn't expect the nation of God to do this. When it comes to pushing the blame, they are not inferior to the White Eagle Nation. This time, they have nothing to blame. If they don't apologize, the United Nations will announce it soon. However, the nation of God is willing to disclose all of their Takashi Hoshi techniques to the United Nations. This is a big move. The nation of God is more magnanimous than I expected. If a simple apology is useful, what's the use of law enforcement? Not disclosing the Takashi Hoshi techniques will not stop the United Nations from talking. For us, this is the best news. That afternoon, under the watchful eyes of Wang Lan and the others, the reinforcements arrived one after another. 6 astral soul realm elites and 30 titled warriors. Even if it was against the army of demons, it would not be more than this. The demon citadel was covered by the king of hell's space-time domain. Even during the day, the sunlight could not shine through the domain barrier. From the outside, it looked like the demon's citadel was locked by black crystals. Black smoke billowed inside, and demonic miasma spewed out. Although they were in the same space-time, the demon's citadel had its own independent space and law. Inside the demon's citadel, the demonic miasma was thicker and darker. A warrior in black armor stepped onto the stairs and entered the central hall of the citadel. The crisp sound of his footsteps echoed in the empty hall. "Master." The armored warrior knelt on one knee, facing the black pool that was emitting dense, demonic miasma. "Did you get the intel?" "I'm sorry, Master. The demon's citadel has been surrounded by the Holy Kingdom's holy knights. We can't get through the layers of guards to get the intel. The people hiding in the Angel City can't send the intel in either." However, the Holy Knights did not attack last night. I'm guessing that the nation of God is busy dealing with the aftermath. Their next move will be at least a few days later. Guess. Can you be responsible for your guess? Why? Why did the plan that I've been planning for 30 years turn out like this? The King of Hell was a bit angry. Originally, my main plan was to establish a nation in the new Blue Nation. Taking revenge on the nation of God was just a side goal. But why did the plan fail before it even started? 30 years of preparation went down the drain. Tell me, who made a mistake in my plan? Master, no one made a mistake. It's that Wong Lan from the humans who discovered the flaw in our plan. That's why the new Blue Nation's plan failed. In the battle at the Angel City, we sacrificed the peerless knight and the saint. Even the Pope might not be able to fight anymore. As long as Master can recover, we still have a chance. I don't need long to recover, but it'll take at least 3 months to refine a new dimension. Do you think the humans will give us that time? The warrior in black armor quickly lowered his head. We'll do our best to fight for 3 months. You can go now. The King of Hell gently waved his hand, and the warrior in black armor bowed his head. After the warrior in black armor left, the King of Hell slowly raised his head. His hollow eyes flashed a few dim lights. He slowly extended his hand, and with a twist, a space-time gem appeared in his hand. A look of disgust appeared on the King of Hell's face. It was like he was reminded of his glory in the demon realm. The crisp sound of footsteps sounded again, and the King of Hell quickly put away the time gem. "Master, there's someone outside. He says he's the messenger of the birds of paradise." "Birds of paradise?" "Umph, a bunch of treacherous bastards. Tell him to leave." "Yes." "Wait, bring him in." Soon, under the guidance of the attendant, a middle-aged white man in white clothes was brought in. "Greetings, King of Hell. I'm here to greet you on behalf of my leader, General Buffel." "I don't know this General Buffel you're talking about. If you have something to say, just say it." "All right, King of Hell. What are you waiting for? Why aren't you activating the time gem to welcome the arrival of the divine army?" Chapter 610. Activate the space-time gem? Haha, don't you know who I am? Activate the space-time gem? Then wait for the demons to come and arrest me? Since the gods exiled you to the underworld, why would they arrest you? From the moment you were exiled, you were a warrior of the gods. You are our comrade. Haha, the King of Hell laughed coldly. Comrade? You might not know, but why would the demons be willing to exile me to the underworld? They can't wait to lock me up in the eternal black prison forever. Do you know what that place is? It's a world of darkness. You can't move, see, or feel anything. However, you can be extremely awake and can't sleep. Surrounded by loneliness for eternity, everyone who is locked up in the eternal black prison will slowly be tortured and eventually go crazy. If I didn't sneak into the exile group, I would have been locked up in the eternal black prison long ago. You're telling me that they are my comrade? I, the King of Hell, have no comrade. Since we have a common enemy, I won't kill you. You can go. King of Hell, do you think the humans will let you go if you don't activate the space-time gem? Of course, they won't let me go. However, I have the Demon City to defend. As long as I can hold on for 10 days, they won't be able to do anything to me. I have eternal life. At most, I can slowly wear them down 10 days. Ha! King of Hell, it's not that I'm looking down on you. Let alone 10 days. You might not even be able to live past today. The King of Hell's aura suddenly soared, and a terrifying pressure pressed down on the black shadow like a mountain. What did you say? Do you dare to say it again? Even if you ask me 10 more times, I'll still say the same thing. I'm afraid you won't even be able to live past tonight. Do you know that the 3 superheroes from the White Eagle Nation came to the City of Angels this afternoon? Do you know that the 2 Nordic gods of war from the Polar Bear and the Green Emperor from the Jade State have arrived? 6 masters on the same level as the Pope and the Peerless Knights have arrived. There are also 30 first-rate masters and 300,000 holy knights from the nation of God. With such strength, how are you going to last for 10 days, King? Impossible. The White Eagle Nation hasn't sent anyone to the nation for decades. The Polar Bear and the nation of God are enemies. They won't come to help. King of Hell, King of Hell, do you still think? Ha ha, what a joke. From the moment you obtained the space-time gem, you became the enemy of the entire human race. The King of Hell became silent. Lord King of Hell, you don't have much time to think. The humans will attack soon. Boom, boom, boom. Several loud sounds rang out at the same time as the Heavens Bird emissary's words, causing the entire demon city to tremble. Master! A cry of alarm sounded, and a black-armored warrior hurriedly ran in. Master! The Holy Knights are attacking the city. Stop them. Stop them for at least 10 days. Yes. The King of Hell, King of Hell, King of Hell, but the no. RTS. However, the black-armored warriors also understood that with just over 1,000 black-armored warriors and hundreds of thousands of zombie soldiers in Demon City, they wanted to defeat 300,000 holy knights? It's impossible. The zombie soldiers don't know what death is, and the King of Hell's training tools don't know what fear is. But in the face of absolute power, what's the use of courage and fearlessness? A King of Hell, King of Hell, King of Hell stood on top of the city wall and madly channeled his astral energy to unleash a Takashi Hoshi attack. But before he could unleash his Takashi Hoshi attack, at least 5 holy knights had already joined hands to raise a defensive barrier. The Takashi Hoshi attack was useless against the barrier. It didn't even have time to create a ripple. Suddenly, the King of Hell, King of Hell, King of Hell, King of Hell felt his vision darken. He looked up and saw a figure with a sword on his back. Suddenly, he felt his body turn into a funnel. His strength was being sucked away by a huge black hole. When he looked down, he realized that a bloody line had appeared on his chest at some point in time. His body was slowly sliding down along the bloody line. Wang Lan and the other titled battle pet warriors were like ghosts on the battlefield, appearing and disappearing unpredictably beside every King of Hell, King of Hell, King of Hell, King of Hell. No matter if they were weak or tough, they were all crushed. Wang Lan had never fought a battle with such a huge disparity in strength. No wonder he often heard people say that he could push his way through. It turned out that it felt so good. In less than 20 minutes, the Holy Knights had already arrived at the Demon City. The Demon City was originally a fortress made by the King of Hell. It was unknown what materials were used to construct it, but it was extremely hard. Wang Lan tried to use his Soul Slasher. The Soul Slasher drew a faint mark on the city gate. The strength of the city gate was no less than that of Wang Lan's Gate of Hell. If the Demon City had been in ancient times, it would have been an immortal fortress. Wang Lan, let's do it. As soon as he finished speaking, the void behind Wang Lan twisted, and a figure appeared. It was the Emperor Qing who had quietly arrived at the city gate. At the same time, around the Demon City, 6 top astral soul experts were already in position. Wang Lan took 2 steps back. Majestic astral power gushed out from the Emperor Qing's body. The terrifying astral power gathered from all directions, forming a green energy ball in front of the Emperor Qing. In Wang Lan's senses, there were a total of 6 similar energy balls, which were scattered around the Demon City. The ball of light in the Emperor Qing's hand was originally more than 10 meters tall, but it was instantly compressed. In the blink of an eye, it was compressed between 2 palms. With such a huge amount of energy compressed to such a small size, the power of the explosion was probably close to that of a nuclear bomb. It was indeed reasonable to say that the astral soul realm was a human-shaped nuclear bomb. Boom! The Emperor Qing fiercely pushed out his palm, and the terrifying energy instantly hit the city gate of the demon city. After a slight resistance, the city gate suddenly exploded, and the energy beam rushed into the city gate again. The densely packed zombie warriors behind the city gate were instantly melted by the energy beam, and some even vaporized and disappeared. The surrounding city gates had been broken, and the holy knights who were ready behind him cheered. Holy knights, charge! Oh, in the center of the demon's city, the gloomy sovereign of hell suddenly raised his head. A beam of white light rushed over. The light beam shot out from the city gate directly into the sovereign of hell's inner palace. The sovereign of hell was expressionless, and he allowed the energy ball to rush in front of him. Suddenly, the energy beam seemed to have hit an invisible barrier and exploded. The roof of the inner palace was blasted into the sky with a boom. The messenger of heaven's bird came out from behind a stone pillar, and a trace of panic appeared on his face. Sovereign of hell, the demon city has been broken. What are you still hesitating for? The sovereign of hell slowly floated up, and with a light wave of his hand, the black pool under his feet suddenly started to boil violently. As it boiled, a body slowly rose up. When the messenger of heaven's bird saw this body, his eyes suddenly shrank, and a deep fear appeared on his face. Angel? The corpse that the sovereign of hell pulled out from the black pool actually had 2 pairs of pitch-black wings on its back. If this wasn't the legendary angel, what else could it be? There was a fundamental difference between angels and humans. Humans were humans, while angels were gods. Legend had it that in a lost secret technique of the divine religion, there was a powerful Takashi Hoshi technique called angel form. As long as one could successfully master this Takashi Hoshi technique, they would temporarily obtain the power of a god. This Takashi Hoshi technique had been lost for thousands of years. 10,000 years ago, angels would often descend to the human world to pray for humans, eliminate disasters, and eliminate illnesses. However, in the past 10,000 years, angels had never appeared. Until now, everyone had unanimously agreed that angels were just gods in people's imagination and did not really exist. Only the believers of the divine religion still believed that angels existed in the Garden of Eden. A mythical creature actually appeared in front of the messenger of heaven's bird. This was a huge shock to the messenger of heaven's bird. If angels exist, does that mean that gods also exist? Seeing the shock in the messenger of heaven's bird, the sovereign of hell was very satisfied. Angels actually really exist? The messenger of heaven's bird opened his mouth, and his face was still frozen in disbelief. Do you think that just because there were no legends of angels descending to the human world in the past 10,000 years, that angels are just fictional creatures? Angels really did exist, and they are not a foreign race, but a native human race. After cultivating to the 3rd form of an angel, the angel will completely transform into an angel. Angels have a very long lifespan. Even the lowest level strength angel has a lifespan of at least 1,000 years. It's a pity that 10,000 years ago, the gods and all the angels were destroyed by the demon god. I found the records of that battle through the demon's literature. Then, 2,000 years ago, I found this complete battle angel's body in the divine battlefield. It's a pity that this is the only complete corpse. If I could find a blazing angel, that would be even more perfect. I spent 2,000 years soaking this corpse in demon liquid before turning it into a fallen angel. You ask me what else I can rely on? He. Is this enough to rely on? As the sovereign of hell spoke, he suddenly turned into smoke and entered the fallen angel's mouth. The messenger of heaven's bird opened his eyes wide and stared blankly at the angel in front of him. Suddenly, the wings on the fallen angel's back trembled slightly. Although the wings were already very damaged and looked like grass that had been smashed, an angel was still an angel no matter how ugly its appearance was. Dong! A heavy heartbeat sounded, and the fallen angel suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were pitch black, without a trace of white. The sovereign of hell slowly walked out of the blood pool. The demon liquid in the blood pool suddenly rose and wrapped around the sovereign of Hell's body, turning into a pitch-black armor. At this moment, the rumbling sounds of the battle outside were very close, as if they would enter the inner palace in the next moment. The sovereign of Hell took a step forward, and his figure turned into a ray of light and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was standing on the roof of the inner palace. Lightly raising his hand, a terrifying energy wave swept out. The charging holy knights seemed to have hit a meat grinder and were instantly melted by an invisible blade. In an instant, thousands of holy knights were annihilated, and the charging street was empty. Chapter 6:11. Who's there? The entire evil demon citadel was in chaos and fighting. That was why the sovereign of Hell suddenly killed an entire street of holy knights. Although it caused a huge commotion, no one saw what happened. The only thing they saw was the annihilation of thousands of holy knights. The atmosphere on the battlefield would change people's thinking. When they saw an enemy attack, their first reaction was not to judge the enemy's strength, but to attack. In a fierce battle, the danger of death would be forgotten. Destroying the enemy would be the first thing they would do. Thus, the moment the sovereign of Hell made his move, the 6 holy knights who were supposed to be protecting the sovereign of Hell rushed forward together. Astral powers surged around the 6 of them. Almost at the same time, they used their most powerful Takashi Hoshi skills. 6 different Super S Takashi Hoshi skills were aimed at the sovereign of Hell. The king of Hell turned a blind eye to it. He lightly raised his palm, and a ripple spread out. All the attacking star martial skills disappeared without a trace in the ripple. At that moment, the 6 title battle pet warriors finally saw the enemy's appearance. Angel? No, it's a fallen angel. The iconic wings of an angel were very eye-catching. The dark wings emitted a strange and powerful aura. With a wave of his hand, the 6 Super S Takashi Hoshi skills disappeared. The 6 title battle pet warriors immediately realized that the enemy in front of them was not someone they could deal with. Retreat, one of them shouted. The 6 of them scattered and retreated. However, it was too late to retreat. The sovereign of Hell flicked his fingers. Several black balls of light shot out from his fingers. The balls of light were like shooting stars. They hit the 6 title battle pet warriors in an instant. Space was distorted where the balls of light hit the 6 title battle pet warriors. The 6 title battle pet warriors didn't even have time to scream before they disappeared. Wang Lan saw this. Wang Lan stopped. Jiang Xinyu and the others, who were going to help Wang Lan, also stopped. Fallen angel? How is that possible? How can there really be angels in this world? Su Xiangwen cried out in horror. Now, it's no longer a question of why there are angels in the world. Instead, he's right in front of us. Killing 6 title battle pet warriors in the blink of an eye had boosted Sovereign of Hell's confidence like never before. The angelic body was indeed useful. It was even more useful than his original body. Although he only possessed a body, the original power of the body had long since dissipated. However, the King of Hell had been deprived of his physical body for thousands of years, and his power no longer depended on his physical body. The only drawback of not having a physical body was that he couldn't unleash his full power. The combination of the angelic body and his original strength made King of Hell feel that he had returned to his peak. This was the feeling of being able to dominate the entire world. A joint attack by human experts? 300,000 holy knights? Now, in the eyes of the King of Hell, they were nothing but chickens and pottery dogs. The King of Hell sneered and slowly turned his head to look at Wang Lan and the others. With just one look, Wang Lan felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. This fallen angel was extremely powerful. Suddenly, the King of Hell disappeared from the top of the palace. Wang Lan's heart skipped a beat. In an instant, the King of Hell was standing in front of Wang Lan. The tattered wings on his back were slightly flapping, and he looked a bit embarrassed. However, Wang Lan and the others didn't smile at all. They couldn't bring themselves to smile. You're Wang Lan, right? You've messed up my plan and turned it into this unsightly situation." The King of Hell's tone was very light. There was no fluctuation in his emotions, and no anger could be heard. However, Wang Lan knew that he was being watched. It was impossible for him to leave quietly. The only thing he could do was to wait until the 6 astral soul realm experts noticed the situation and arrived. "You're the King of Hell?" "Yes. I just don't understand. Why is the Jade State interfering with the grudge between the godly kingdom and me? I've been fighting with the Holy See for 3,000 years, and no outside force has ever interfered. Why is it that this time, a troublemaker like you is here?" "That's a good analogy. If Lan Zi is a troublemaker, then you're—" In order to relieve the pressure, Su Xiangwen said sarcastically. However, he seemed to have forgotten the power of words. Instantly, the King of Hell's face darkened. In an instant, the King of Hell disappeared, and so did Wang Lan's figure. Boom! With a soft sound, Wang Lan stopped in front of Su Xiangwen with the Zanpakuto in his hand. The Zanpakuto cut into the claws of the King of Hell. Although the claws were made of flesh and blood, Wang Lan felt like he had cut into iron. "The 3 of you retreat." Wang Lan roared. Crack! Bang! With a crisp sound, Wang Lan's Zanpakuto was crushed by the King of Hell. Sure Kai, Sword of Light. In an instant, countless light particles appeared from the Zanpakuto's hilt and formed a Sword of Light. Wang Lan stabbed the sword into the eyes of the King of Hell. Ka! The King of Hell only stretched out 2 fingers and grasped the blade of the Sword of Light. This scene made Wang Lan even more shocked. The Sword of Light was both a sword and light. It had form but no substance. However, the King of Hell could even grasp light. Jiang Xinyu and the other 2 didn't hesitate and instantly retreated. Although they were more willing to fight side by side with Wang Lan, they also knew that in the face of such a powerful enemy, they would only be a burden to Wang Lan. The King of Hell didn't care about Jiang Xinyu and the others running away. He didn't care about the lives of a few ants, but Wang Lan, the initiator of all of this, must die. The King of Hell's body suddenly turned illusory, and he grabbed Wang Lan's heart. This change was beyond Wang Lan's expectation, and the speed was also beyond Wang Lan's reaction. Even if he wanted to use the dance of Hell's butterfly, it was too late. Suddenly, a terrifying sword energy fell from the sky, and the King of Hell had to change his attack. The sword energy slashed on the King of Hell's arm, and a wound appeared. The King of Hell was slightly startled. It was this moment that gave Wang Lan the time to dodge. In an instant, Wang Lan's body exploded, and countless butterflies fluttered in the air. Wang Lan, who landed in a safe position, quickly opened his star palace and summoned the Phoenix Saint Robe. The Saint Robe quickly covered Wang Lan's body. Phoenix form open, an aura surged out, and a phoenix tail pattern appeared between Wang Lan's eyebrows. As his aura surged, a pair of dragon horns protruded from Wang Lan's forehead. Wang Lan's palms had already turned into sharp dragon claws. The muscles all over his body had also increased in size. His original height of 1.8 meters instantly increased to more than 2 meters. Wang Lan only spent a second to complete all of this. However, in this short second, the Hui Xian sword god Lin Rulin and the King of Hell had exchanged more than 10 blows. Boom! A wave of energy rippled out, and Lin Rulin's body flew backward, and the mask on her face shattered into pieces. A deep hole appeared under Wang Lan's feet, and his body instantly turned into a stream of light, brushing past Lin Rulin's shoulder and punched the King of Hell's chest. When the King of Hell saw Wang Lan's punch coming, he thought it was just right. He also punched Wang Lan's fist. Boom! The 2 fists collided, and a terrifying shockwave swept out. With the 2 of them as the center, the surrounding buildings were instantly destroyed and sent flying backward. The scene froze for an instant, and the protective light around Wang Lan's body shattered. Then, the Saint Robe covering Wang Lan's fist also started to shatter. A terrifying force came, and the pain was bone-piercing. Wang Lan's body flew backward instantly. The moment he flew backward, the king of hell in front of him only swayed slightly. Such a huge difference made Wang Lan's heart sink. After activating the phoenix form, Wang Lan's strength was not inferior to the five emperors. This was not what Wang Lan thought, but what the five emperors said. With Wang Lan's strength, he was still easily sent flying by the king of hell. Could the king of hell's strength be comparable to Dilu's? Then, could the six astral soul realm experts on his side win? Wang Lan was stunned. Suddenly, he crashed into the group of buildings. Looking down from the sky, Wang Lan was like a cannonball, crashing through wall after wall. After crashing for a few hundred meters, he finally stopped flying among the ruins. Overestimating yourself. The king of hell swung his fist proudly. Just as he was about to move, he suddenly waved his hand, and a ripple appeared behind him. A light ball crashed into the ripple, and a figure slowly floated down from the sky like a feather. At the same time, the six astral soul realm experts, including the Azure the Arch, arrived at the same time and surrounded the king of hell. Everyone listen up. Do your best to eliminate the remaining forces of the king of hell. Leave this to us. Yes. Wang Lan flipped over from the ruins, and a figure appeared in front of him. Wang Lan looked at Lin Rulin's outstretched hand, smiled faintly, and reached out to shake Lin Rulin's hand. After being pulled up, Wang Lan gave Lin Rulin and himself a life aura, and their injuries quickly healed. A terrifying wave of spiritual energy came from behind, and the six astral soul realm experts finally began to fight with the king of hell. The holy knights had already spread out, searching for the remaining forces in the evil demon city. Deep under the evil demon city, a black-armored warrior and a messenger of the birds of heaven were hiding in a secret corner. A sophisticated instrument was operating, and in the instrument, the space-time gem was placed in a slot. The instrument is 100% loaded. You can start now, the black-armored warrior said coldly. It should have started long ago. Your master dragged it out until now. The messenger of the birds of heaven said unhappily. Remember the promise you made to my master. Otherwise, my master won't let you off. Don't worry. With the king of hell's current strength, the god race will definitely recruit him. As he spoke, he pressed the button to start the instrument. Boom! A terrifying wave of energy came from the space-time gem, and an invisible energy barrier exploded, instantly pushing away the soil above them. The holy knights, searching the evil demon city, suddenly felt the ground tremble. Earthquake? That's impossible, right? This isn't an earthquake zone. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying beam of light rushed out from under their feet, vaporizing the holy knights in the range of the beam. The beam of light shot into the sky, and in the blink of an eye, the sky changed color. Wang Lan and Lin Rulin were nearby at this moment. Lin Rulin's expression changed greatly. Not good. The space-time gem has been activated. The moment she finished speaking, a figure turned into a ray of light and rushed towards the space-time pillar. Chapter 612. Previously, Wang Lan had blocked the opening of the space-time gem twice. The first time was in the alternate dimension of the country of ice and snow. After the alternate dimension was closed, apart from Wang Lan and a few other people, no one knew how the space-time gem was closed. The second time was in a magic city. Although many people saw Wang Lan block the opening of the space-time gem, the birds of paradise that were carrying out the mission were all killed. Although the birds of paradise were active in every corner of the world, they weren't useless. Wang Lan was the only person who could close the space-time gem. This information was classified as the top secret of the world. Thus, the birds of paradise still didn't know how the space-time gem was closed. They only thought that the Jade State had invented some kind of secret technology after researching the space-time gem for so long. This time, it was opened in the Holy Kingdom and in the Demon City. There should be no mistakes, right? If the birds of paradise knew that Wang Lan was the key to closing the space-time gem, they definitely wouldn't have opened it immediately. They would have killed Wang Lan first. Otherwise, as long as Wanlan was here, it wouldn't matter even if they opened the space-time gem 10 times. Unfortunately, no one in this world knew. As soon as the light pillar shot up into the sky, Wanlan rushed into the light pillar like a valve and blocked the space-time gem's energy. This time, even the signal sent out by the space-time gem couldn't reach the demon realm before it was blocked by Wanlan. What? This? How is this possible? The birds of paradise's messenger widened his eyes in disbelief. At this moment, he finally understood the meaning of the information that the spy sent back before he died. The key was Wanlan. So, this was what the key meant. You bastards, can't you make the information clearer? The key was Wanlan. How could he guess such a thing? Wanlan's phoenix form crazily devoured the space-time gem's energy. Originally, Wanlan's body still had half of the spatial energy left, but this time, it was filled to the brim with spatial energy. The overflowing spatial energy immediately squeezed Wanlan's storage container, causing it to expand by a large size. After about 10 minutes, the space-time gem's energy was exhausted. Wanlan slowly descended from the sky. Over a dozen titled battle pet warriors slowly gathered around the space-time gem. Regardless of nationality, race, or skin color, almost everyone had the same expression, mocking and sneering. As for the black-armored warrior and Heaven's Bird subordinates, who had lost the protection of the space-time gem, their faces were filled with fear as they looked at the experts from various countries surrounding them. They were so weak, helpless, and pitiful. Kill! Wanlan coldly spat out a single word. In an instant, dozens of S-rank and S-rank Takashi Hoshi skills smashed into the pit. The two fellows didn't even have time to scream before they were annihilated by the bombardment. In the battlefield not far behind him, the King of Hell looked heroic and majestic. He had a calm confidence that he could destroy everything with a smile. Facing the attacks of 6 Astral Soul Realm experts, the Sovereign of Hell was able to handle them with ease. Although it couldn't be said that he had an overwhelming advantage, he did have the upper hand in strength. But Hell Monarch and Chi Mei were different. Their energy seemed to be limitless. The longer the battle dragged on, the stronger their fighting power would be, and the greater their chances of winning. After fighting for half an hour, the 6 Astral Soul Realm experts were somewhat anxious. Even for Astral Soul Realm experts, continuously attacking for half an hour was a huge burden. After half an hour, their fighting power would start to decline. But the Sovereign of Hell in front of them was still so strong. The energy in his body seemed to be limitless. What made it even more difficult for them to accept was that the Sovereign of Hell was fighting them head-on, and they had no choice but to fight him head-on. We can't continue like this. We can't fight him one-on-one. At least 3 attacks have to hit him at the same time. The Sovereign of Hell's endurance is beyond our imagination. Even if we fight for 3 days and 3 nights, he'll be fine, the Lotus Emperor said in the international language. Okay, let's split into 2 teams. One team will attack, and the other team will create opportunities. They were all Astral Soul Realm experts, so their fighting skills were naturally unquestionable. In almost an instant, the 2 teams finished changing their formations. The 3 of them immediately began to disturb the Sovereign of Hell, locking him in a small, sealed space. The Lotus Emperor's astral energy resonated with the 3 Astral Soul Realm experts. Want to join forces to attack? Dream on. The Sovereign of Hell's body instantly turned illusory, and he passed through the 3's blockade like a ghost. No matter how the 3 Astral Soul Realm experts attacked, they couldn't touch the Sovereign of Hell at all. Looking at the Sovereign of Hell, who was so close to him, the Lotus Emperor gritted his teeth. Retreat. The 3 of them had no choice but to stop their joint attack and retreat. What other tricks do you have? The Sovereign of Hell laughed when he saw that he had easily interrupted their attacks. God's sealing soul fixation. Suddenly, a shout rang out from beside him. Instantly, the Sovereign of Hell's expression changed drastically. The Lotus Emperor was standing 50 meters behind the Sovereign of Hell at this moment, and an unknown aura rippled around the Lotus Emperor's body. It was like the wick of a candle, emitting a strange aura. The sovereign of Hell's body also emitted a strange ripple like the Lotus Emperor's. The sovereign of Hell instantly lost control of his angelic body, and he was frozen in the sky. Bastard, what kind of Takashi Hoshi technique is this? The sovereign of Hell struggled furiously. The Lotus Emperor's face instantly broke out in cold sweat. The god's sealing soul fixation was a high-level fixation technique in the green wood divine art. Wang Lan had brought it back from the Celestial Cloud sect. The Lotus Emperor had cultivated for so many years, but he had only grasped this technique not long ago. It would bind his soul and the target's soul in order to restrain the opponent. The strength of the binding was determined by the distance between the user and the target. The further the distance, the weaker the binding. The Sovereign of Hell was struggling now, and he almost broke free from the Lotus Emperor's binding. The Lotus Emperor hurriedly approached the Sovereign of Hell, and the two of them quickly approached each other like mirrors. The Lotus Emperor stopped when they were 10 meters away from each other. Everyone, what are you waiting for? Let's kill the Sovereign of Hell in one fell swoop. The Lotus Emperor was only 10 meters away from the Sovereign of Hell. The combined attack of 5 Astral Soul Realm experts was definitely earth-shattering. Was the Lotus Emperor sacrificing himself in exchange for this opportunity to attack? While their hearts were shaken, the 5 of them did not hesitate. Astral Soul Realm experts had experienced too many life and death situations, and they were used to seeing too many sacrifices. In this world, everyone was willing to sacrifice themselves for victory. They were no exception. Damn it, let go of me. The Sovereign of Hell struggled even harder, and the Lotus Emperor had no choice but to get closer. In the end, he was almost pressed against the Sovereign of Hell. The binding that connected the two of them could be seen clearly with the naked eye. The astral energy of the 5 Astral Soul Realm experts had already started to resonate, and the terrifying astral energy in the world started to gather toward the 5 of them. This scene caused everyone to involuntarily look toward the battlefield. Lotus Emperor? The situation was so clear that everyone instantly realized the Lotus Emperor's plan. However, an Astral Soul Realm expert was actually willing to sacrifice himself. This caused all the titled experts, and even the Holy Knights, to be indescribably shocked. Wang Lan's expression changed. Without hesitation, he transformed into a streak of light and charged toward the Lotus Emperor. The 5 Astral Soul Realm experts had already finished gathering their energy, and the Sovereign of Hell was still roaring furiously. At this critical moment, Wang Lan rushed to the Lotus Emperor's side and threw a life halo at him. Boom, bastard. Bastard. As the Sovereign of Hell roared, the powerful Takashi Hoshi technique of the 5 Astral Soul Realm experts engulfed the Sovereign of Hell. It was like ice meeting fire. The Sovereign of Hell and the Lotus Emperor's figures disappeared in a flash of light. The aftershock quickly disappeared. Looking at the Lotus Emperor, who had already disappeared without a trace, the 5 Astral Soul Realm experts' faces were very heavy. At their level, they had already jumped out of the scope of the country's vision. Although they also had countries in their hearts, they wouldn't just care about their country's standpoint. They were all humans, and they had the same human civilization. The fall of an Astral Soul Realm expert was a huge loss to the entire human civilization. There were only 20 Astral Soul Realm experts in the world. Now, the Godly Nation had lost all 3, and the Jade State's Lotus Emperor had also lost almost 1/6 of them. At this moment, the halo in the void flickered slightly. Wang Lan's figure flashed, and he came to the side of the halo. With a wave of his hand, a fetus pearl shot out from the halo. Wang Lan's actions immediately attracted the attention of everyone. Wang Lan threw the fetus pearl on the ground. Soon, the fetus pearl broke open and rapidly grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. In less than a minute, a baby appeared in front of everyone's eyes. However, the baby didn't stop growing. In less than 3 minutes, a brand new Lotus Emperor appeared in front of everyone. Not to mention the bystanders. Even the astral soul realm experts above them looked as if they had seen a ghost. What was this? Was he resurrected? Hey, do you have any clothes? Give me a set. Although it was normal to be naked on the battlefield, the Lotus Emperor couldn't stand it with so many people looking at him. Moreover, there were so many female Takashi Hoshi. Soon, a Takashi Hoshi took out a set of clothes from his portable space and gave it to the Lotus Emperor. Although the 5 people above them had recovered from their shock, they still looked at Wang Lan with fervent eyes. Although he had long heard that in addition to Wang Lan's unfathomable ability to catch demon spies and her unrivaled strength under the Star Soul realm, her medical star martial technique was also unrivaled under the heavens. He was known as the #1 medical Takashi Hoshi below the Saintess of the godly nation. However, they only realized now that he was #1 below the Saintess. He was definitely #1. No matter how powerful Takashi Hoshi's medical skills were, could they be compared to resurrection? Even if he was cheating, he could still resurrect after killing someone. With this ability, why would he be afraid of death? What a joke. Just as everyone relaxed their vigilance, suddenly, a terrifying aura came from the ruins beneath their feet. Boom! With a loud bang, the rubble below them exploded, revealing the pitch-black body of a fallen angel. How is this possible? An astral soul realm expert exclaimed. I didn't think that the body of an angel could be resurrected. If you didn't kill me, I wouldn't even know. Ha ha ha. Seeing the sovereign of hell come back to life, everyone's faces darkened. But when they looked at the Lotus Emperor, the latter shook his head. I'm very weak right now. I can't participate in the battle. Haha, since you can't kill me, I'll have to invite all of you to die. The sovereign of hell slowly stepped into the air, as if there was an invisible staircase under his feet. All of a sudden, a star lit up in the void. The star turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the battlefield at high speed. Chapter 6:13. The light got closer and closer, and soon, everyone could see who it was. It was Yulia with the Holy Grail. Yulia had just gotten the Holy Grail, and she had been in seclusion for the past few days. The Holy Grail was the only thing that could counter the power of the King of Hell and even the fallen angel. Everyone, I am the new Saintess of the nation of God, Yulia. The Holy Grail in my hand can completely defeat the King of Hell, but I'm not strong enough to unleash the true power of the Holy Grail. Please, everyone help me. Saintess. Seeing the Holy Grail appear again, the King of Hell gritted his teeth and roared. Do you think the Holy Grail can still hurt me? I have the body of an angel, and I've already recovered to my peak. Not even a god can do anything to me, let alone the Holy Grail. The Saintess ignored the King of Hell and raised the Holy Grail up high. Under the influence of Yulia's star power, the Holy Grail began to ripple with the laws of nature. Pure and holy white light radiated from the Holy Grail, rippling with a torrential divine might. Everyone, now's the time. New Saintess will give you all our star power. The 5 astral souls yelled in unison, and their star power surged. They turned into a beam of light and shot towards the Holy Grail in the sky. Don't even think about it. The King of Hell naturally didn't want to wait for his death. The 5 astral souls had already proven that they could destroy his angelic body in an instant. He immediately rushed towards the Holy Grail in an attempt to interrupt Yulia's charge. Amethyst, Eye of the Void. Wang Lan's eyes opened wide, and the King of Hell froze in the air. The space was locked down like 2 walls, and the King of Hell was sandwiched in the middle. Bankai, Judgment of Light. The Zanpakuto in his hand instantly exploded, and the sky was filled with light. In the light, a heavenly sword pierced straight toward the King of Hell. Sword of Mind, Sword of Wisdom. Lin Ruolin also rushed towards the clouds the moment Wang Lan attacked. A twisted sword chi appeared above the King of Hell's head and struck down at the same time as the Judgment of Light. Boom! The Lord of Hell raised a protective barrier and blocked the 2 powerful attacks. However, because of this momentary delay, the plan to interrupt the charging of the Holy Grail was aborted. Go to hell. The king of hell flew into a rage out of humiliation and unleashed a terrifying power. A terrifying spatial shockwave shattered Wang Lan and Lin Rulan's attacks. The shockwave even sent Wang Lan and Lin Rulan flying. Poof! The two of them spat out a mouthful of blood. Wang Lan hurriedly gave himself and Lin Rulan a ray of light of life. At this moment, Yulia's Holy Grail had finished charging. The Holy Grail above her head emitted a dazzling white light, like a blazing sun in the sky. The Holy Grail smashed towards the Sovereign of Hell, and the Sovereign of Hell's expression instantly twisted. No, the Holy Grail's attack could cross dimensions. Even if the Sovereign of Hell could turn into the void and hide in another dimension, it would still be useless. Even his dimensional laws had been shattered by the Holy Grail. The Sovereign of Hell had nowhere to hide, nowhere to run. Boom! The Holy Grail smashed into the Sovereign of Hell's head. The Sovereign of Hell's angelic body suddenly stiffened and then shattered into pieces like glass. The Sovereign of Hell's soul floated out of his angelic body. Seal! The Holy Grail suddenly turned the bottle, and a terrifying suction force came from the Holy Grail. The Sovereign of Hell's soul couldn't resist this powerful suction force and was quickly sucked into the Holy Grail. You can't lock me up. Don't even think about it. What is this? What is this? No. The Lord of Hell, who was still clamoring a moment ago, seemed to have encountered something terrifying in the Holy Grail. He suddenly let out a blood-curdling scream before vanishing completely. Poof! Yulia suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and fell from the sky. Wang Lan's figure flashed, and he hurriedly tried to catch Yulia. Before he could get close, the Holy Grail suddenly rushed to Yulia's side, and a terrifying power attacked Wang Lan. Wang Lan hurriedly dodged, and only then was he able to avoid the Holy Grail's attack. A divine artifact protecting its owner? Wang Lan cried out in shock. He tried to throw a life aura on Yulia. This time, the Holy Grail didn't jump out to stop Wang Lan. Under the healing of the life aura, Yulia's face quickly returned to normal. Assist in killing the Sovereign of Hell, resolve the crisis of the nation of God, and even the entire world. Reward: 100 million experience points, 8 million skill points. The system prompt suddenly sounded in his mind. In an instant, Wang Lan's experience bar was filled up. A clear wave of astral energy pulsed like a pulse, and the elites who were just relieved felt their hearts tighten again. They were afraid that the Sovereign of Hell would be resurrected again. However, when they saw that the astral energy fluctuation was coming from Wang Lan, and that the astral energy fluctuation was a little familiar, the experts couldn't stay calm anymore. Breakthrough? You're breaking through at a time like this? A female superhero said with a puzzled face. Calm down. Wang Lan is always like this. Every time he breaks through, it's after a battle. I don't know what's going on with him. But aren't we all like this when we break through to the Starsea realm? The most important thing at the Starsea realm is comprehension. Although it's rare to break through after a battle, it's not unprecedented. Emperor Qing hurriedly tried to smooth things over. Although he knew that Wang Lan's strange habit of breaking through after a battle didn't start at the Starsea realm, it had always been like this. But after all, he was the child of his own country, and he had to protect what he needed to protect. He couldn't call him a monster with others, right? After leveling up, Wang Lan's experience bar suddenly filled up again. His character level jumped from Starsea Realm 4 to Starsea Realm 6. For Wang Lan, it was jumping 2 levels, but for others, it was just breaking through from the early stage to the middle stage. And this fact made all the Starsea Realm experts feel very hurt, especially those from the Holy Knight Regiment. We're all in the Sea Realm. Why are you so good? Takashi Hoshi's level isn't even higher than ours, but his combat power is a level higher than ours. Is there any justice in this world? Although Wang Lan was calmly breaking through, he still looked at Yulia in confusion. He looked at the system again and confirmed that he didn't hear wrong. He killed the King of Hell, not sealed it. Baby, Yulia let out a soft groan and slowly woke up. Are you okay? Lin Rulin came to Yulia's side and helped her up. I'm fine. The King of Hell has been sealed by the Holy Grail. This time, he will never be able to come out. The King of Hell has been suppressed. On behalf of the nation of God, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all of you for coming to help. Are you sure the King of Hell was only sealed and not killed? Wang Lan frowned and asked. It should be sealed, Yulia said hesitantly. Wang Lan couldn't say that the King of Hell was killed in reality, and he couldn't explain how he knew. But since the Holy Grail was a godly item left behind by a god, it should have its own uniqueness. Perhaps the King of Hell was directly crushed to death by the godly power after being sucked into the Holy Grail. The nation of God had suffered a great loss this time. Even the Pope had fallen, so they couldn't really treat Wang Lan and the other heroes well. Wang Lan and the others rested for 2 days in the nation of God before they went back to report. The nation of God had won a great victory this time. Although the King of Hell had killed 6 titled beings when he first appeared, this loss was negligible compared to the results of the battle. Who wouldn't die in a war? Compared to the nation of God's losses, the International Security Committee couldn't bring themselves to say that they had suffered a great loss. Comrade Wang Lan has contributed a lot to the Jade State and the entire human civilization. This time, he performed well in the International Security Committee selection test and carried out the mission of assisting the nation of God as the commander-in-chief. He helped the nation of God to suppress the King of Hell of the ancient demons and unraveled the Birds of Paradise's conspiracy. His contributions were outstanding, and he brought glory to the entire army. The National Defense Department has proposed that Comrade Wang Lan be promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General with the honor of the Moon Medal. On the second day after returning to China, Wang Lan was called to the Heavenly Sword Bureau in Shanghai. Mr. Jin personally read out the promotion order for Wang Lan. Apart from Wang Lan, Jiang Xinyu, Su Xiangwen, and CSCC were all promoted to colonel because they had been promoted to level 4 special agents in the International Security Committee. Everyone was happy. Wang Lan took the opportunity to ask, Mr. Jin, now that we've completed the test of the International Security Committee and the learning mission is almost over, can I ask what the nation has planned for us? Wang Lan had joined the Heavenly Sword Bureau a long time ago, so he was considered an old man. However, he had never taken up a position before. He had always been a student. Now that the university was about to end, even if they were only in their 3rd year, their strength had already reached the standard for graduation. What? You're planning to graduate early? Yes. Graduation. You don't have to be in a hurry. The higher-ups have indeed considered your arrangements. The 4 of you have great potential, but potential doesn't represent strength. Only when you develop your potential can you be considered to have completed your training. Especially you, Wang Lan. Your strength is already top-notch in the nation. Missions that are difficult in the eyes of others are just a piece of cake for you. Doing these kinds of missions won't help you improve. Therefore, our suggestion is that you stay in the International Security Committee for a year. During this year, we'll try our best to arrange challenging missions for you. You should also seize this year to grow as quickly as possible. It's best if you can enter the astral soul realm. Due to your relationship with Jiang Xinyu, Su Xiangwen, and CSCC, and the fact that you're a complete team, they'll stay in the International Security Committee with you. Of course, this is only our suggestion. It's not mandatory. If you have other ideas, you can raise them. I have no problem. Wang Lan didn't have any objections to joining the International Security Committee. During this mission, he got along very well with the people in the International Security Committee. The internal atmosphere was also very harmonious. It's just, what about my future plans? 1 year is quite fast. The war with the demons should begin very soon. Opening the space-time door again and again shows that the demons are already impatient. The nation plans to build 5 teams of pure astral sea realm Takashi Hoshi before the war. Each team must have the ability to control the key to victory in a million-level battle. You will be one of the founders of these 5 teams. Wang Lan's pupils couldn't help but shrink. This was a huge investment. controlling the key to victory in a million-level battle. The weight of this team couldn't be small. What about the other candidates? Currently, there's only you and Yu Ruyun. The rest are all candidates. However, there's at least one condition. The candidates must have the ability to reach the same level as you and Yu Ruyun. Otherwise, we'd rather leave it empty. I understand. Thank you for the trust. Chapter 614. After spending the 8 million skill points rewarded by the system, Wang Lan's strength once again soared. If he could faintly reach the Star Soul realm before using his full strength, then with his current strength, his battle prowess would definitely reach the Star Soul realm. Even if he didn't activate the Phoenix form and didn't use his full strength, his strength would still be around the half-step Star Soul realm, especially the bright Yang Sword Chi, which had the tendency to fuse with the soul. Once the sword and soul fused, the sword chi could be activated with just a thought. In other words, when you wanted to cut off someone's head, the bright Yang sword chi would have already slashed out with your thoughts. Skipping the casting process, one step faster would mean one's life, one's death, and one's death. Wang Lan listened to Director Jin's suggestion and returned to the International Security Committee with Jiang Xinyu and the other two. When Wang Lan was in the Jade State, he didn't know much about the International Security Committee, and its existence was indeed not high. However, the International Security Committee's influence in the international community was above that of any country. Most of the people in the Jade State and White Eagle State only knew a few famous people in a few famous cities, but they knew the International Security Committee like the back of their hand. This was because only a few countries in the world had absolute self-defense capabilities. There were more than 250 countries in the world, and only the top 10 countries had complete self-defense capabilities. This meant that they could solve any crisis by themselves. If they couldn't solve it, the International Security Committee wouldn't be able to do anything. For countries with self-defense capabilities, the International Security Committee had no right to interfere and wouldn't interfere too much. Jade State was one of the top 5 countries, so naturally it was the same. Therefore, the International Security Committee's agents almost never carried out missions in the Jade State. The 4 of them returned to the International Security Committee and went to the front desk to complete the procedures. The previous mission was a continuation of the assessment, so Wang Lan and the others hadn't been confirmed in the International Security Committee yet. After completing the registration, Lieutenant General Dyson met Wang Lan and the others in the conference room. The reason why Lieutenant General Dyson was here was mainly because he was familiar with Wang Lan and the others. According to your formation at the beginning, you were assigned to an independent S-rank team, a special operation team of the International Security Committee, and your main task was to carry out S-rank missions. But at that time, you weren't sure if you would stay and work, so you didn't register. Now, on behalf of the 5 committee members, I formally ask you if you have any objections to the arrangements made by the association. If you have any requests, feel free to ask. I have no objections. But how many people are there in my independent team? What's the level? There is no fixed number of people in an S-rank independent team, but it has to be at least 4 people. It can also be 6, 8, or 12 people. However, it would be best if the number of players did not exceed 12. After all, a 12-man team could be split into 2 S-rank parties. S-rank teams are very precious. Even our International Security Committee, which gathers the top experts from all over the world, only has 12 teams. The members of an S-rank independent team are all above the Star Sea realm, and the captain must be an elite Star Sea realm warrior. In Jade State's words, the captain must be a titled warrior. You should have heard of the Vermilion Bird Company in Jade State, right? S-rank independent teams were like the Vermilion Bird Company. As for the rank, you're a 7th grade agent yourself, so you should know what the rank is, right? You're a direct subordinate of the committee, and your missions are also directly assigned by the committee. You can have an independent camp, an independent logistics department, an independent hangar, an independent armory, and so on. Do you have any other questions? No. Then fill in this registration form. What do you plan to call your team? Wang Lan lowered his head and thought for a moment. Then he slowly raised his head and said, Desolate. Desolate team? It sounds quite imposing. Special operations teams are not allowed to use their real names. Therefore, each of you must have a code name. Once a code name is generated, it will replace your original information. Your real information will be sealed as S-rank secrets. You can each think of a code name. My code name is Fire Phoenix. Wang Lan thought for a moment and said, his main attack was fire, and his phoenix form was also a transformed phoenix. Fire Phoenix was very suitable as a code name. Then I'll be called Ice Phoenix, Jiang Xinyu said after Wang Lan finished speaking. Why are they all birds? Su Xiangwen joked. Then I'll be a beast. I'll be called Diding. Diding is very suitable for a Takashi Hoshi. Miss Cici, what about you? Inglong, the god of rain, the Jade State's water god. Okay, S-rank independent team, Desolate. There are a total of 4 members. Captain Fire Phoenix, Vice Captain Ice Phoenix, members Diding, and Inglong. Please confirm. Confirmation complete. After Wang Lan confirmed, the terminal uploaded the information and automatically archived it. The original data was deleted and the real data was added to the S-rank confidential database. The International Security Committee's database was encrypted using 12 quantum supercomputers. As soon as he finished packing, the necessary documents for the mission were sent to Wang Lan and the others. They took a helicopter to a nearby airport and then flew directly to Babylon. We'll go to West City and do a big sweep. Really, that's great. Jiang Xinyu happily ran to Wang Lan and pecked Wang Lan on the cheek. Ah, my eyes hurt. This is not the Xinyu I know. CSCC couldn't stand it anymore and turned to run away. Cici, you're courting death. He screamed and chased after her. Su Xiangwen gave Wang Lan a thumbs up. Lanzi, good licking. What do you know? You knew you couldn't resist, so why did you resist? That's asking for trouble. Since the final result is already decided, then we'll just cater to it. You're not the only one who's tired of relationships. Are you stupid? Why don't we ask Babylon for a few tools tomorrow? Su Xiangwen continued to lie on the sofa like a corpse. Wang Lan was still flipping through the information page by page. Suddenly, the flipping of the pages paused as a paragraph of text attracted Wang Lan's attention. Wang Lan, what are you thinking about? Jiang Xinyu and CSCC came out of the room after fooling around for a while. Seeing Wang Lan's expression, they asked, I think I know the cause of death of a senator, Wang Lan said. This senator campaigned for Babylon to say goodbye to drugs. I see. In addition to the economic benefits of the port, Babylon also had a mineral and energy economy. In addition to these 3 economic pillars, the drug economy was also one of the economic forces that couldn't be ignored. Although Babylon legally prohibited the cultivation of drugs and the trafficking of drugs, and the Babylon government had carried out many anti-drug campaigns, the results were not great. The main source of Babylon's wealth came from the port operations, mineral operations, and energy operations, and these 3 operations were all controlled by the major tycoons. These tycoons controlled more than 95% of Babylon's wealth and almost all of its revenue. As a result, the Babylon government didn't pay enough attention to the ordinary people. Except for the elections every 5 years, they didn't care about the lives of the ordinary people at all. Once there was a gap in the management, other forces would fill the gap. The Babylon Mafia controlled most of the poor people in Babylon. To the Babylon government, these poor people seemed to be a burden, but to the Mafia, they were a treasure. The Mafia took advantage of the poor people's manpower to develop illegal businesses, such as arms sales, drug sales, and so on. Because the Mafia was so powerful, the government was unable to eliminate them, which led to the current situation. The Babylon government controlled the upper class, while the Babylon Mafia controlled the lower class. There was a serious disconnect between the upper class and the lower class. With you around, I have full confidence in this operation. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.